Well, good afternoon and welcome to Touchstone Essentials Mastermind Wellness Summit. I'm Craig Daly, Vice President of Global Sales, and I'll be your host for the next few hours. We have people tuning in from coast to coast and around the globe. No matter where you're watching from, you're in for an exciting time as we share natural wellness solutions that will improve your life. We've got an exciting program lined up for you today with lots of variety and some special guest speakers we're excited to introduce. Eddie Stone, our founder and CEO, will share the Touchstone Essentials product vision and mission to touch the lives of 1 million families with goodness. I'll present how to share Touchstone Essentials product philosophy of detox, build, and balance. Dr. Alex Lee, a medical doctor and gastroenterologist, will focus on detox, sharing how toxins and heavy metals can cripple your health and what you can do about it. Nutritionist, adjunct professor, and master herbalist Cindy Klement will highlight how nutrition is the foundation of good health and how to build our body's natural defenses. Renowned health expert Dr. Robert Greenberg will share how to calm the sympathetic nervous system to bring balance to your body and improve your well-being. In addition to all of that, you'll have a chance to win some exciting prizes and hear remarkable personal stories of lives touched by goodness. It's going to be an amazing event, and here to kick it all off is Touchstone Essentials founder and CEO, Eddie Stone.
Hey, Craig, thank you for the introduction. As I was just saying, I'm excited about today. I've had this marked on my calendar now for some time, being out in the field just a few weeks ago on our tour and being with some folks in Arizona at our Mastermind event in September. We know how excited everybody is to get into some of the details and learn from these scientists about the products and learn more about how they're impacting and changing lives. And so we're excited to be able to do this with you. I think Wellness Summit, we could all use a little bit of that right now. And so really excited about that. Before we get into some of those details, I want to provide a bit of a company update here regarding what's been going on for Touchstone Essentials with your work. It's all reflective of the work you're doing, the advocacy that you have helped provide for our products as well as the company. And during the last 12, call it 12 to say 16 months, we have seen an extraordinary expansion as people, not just in the US and Canada and other parts of North America, but really people around the world are beginning to recognize that their health is important, right? It seems like an obvious thing, but they have more control than they probably recognize. And so for us, it's exciting to be a part of this journey that people are going on. We've seen an expansion, almost a 400% growth during that period of time for the organization. We've seen more than 200,000 people get involved with Touchstone Essentials, both as customers as well as advocates and VBOs. And so it's exciting for us to see this. And of course, I think we announced earlier in the month that we've now surpassed more than 1 million bottles of our Pure Body Extra Strength, wonderful, unparalleled detox product as a great tool for health that's getting itself out there. And of course, we think that number will exceed 2 million before the next 12 months is over. And so it's just wonderful to be a part of this and see how this is impacting people's lives in such a profound way. And of course, that's not where we're going to stop, right? We're not just stopping with where we're at today and what we're doing. We are going to continue to expand. And so we've seen that not only with the expansion of sales and customers and things of this kind, we've also seen that we need to expand our footprint because it's a global demand, quite literally. Recently, we announced our entry into Mexico. So for our friends south of the border, to the United States here, welcome. We're happy to be able to provide the product directly to you. We know that there were people in the US and people from around the world sending products into Mexico. And so we appreciate that seed effort here to get the product line started. We've got a great reputation for the products already in Mexico, and we're going to continue to expand over the next 12 months. There's still parts of the world that we've not reached yet. I think we're now shipping successfully to some 60 plus countries. And so it's exciting to see this, and we appreciate your advocacy. We've also worked to make sure, even in the midst of some of the challenges globally with shipping and logistics, that we make our products available in the most timely fashion possible and the least expense we possibly can. And that has meant in many of our major markets, quite literally, the product ships for free. And in most cases, even traveling around the world, it arrives in just a few short business days. And so a big shout out to our logistics team for their efforts in helping us do this. And we're happy to be able to provide that level of service around the world. We've also worked hard to expand our team. So we've not only expanded our scientific team, you're going to see that today when you hear from Dr. Greenberg, Dr. Lee, and Cindy Klement. And so we're excited about that, but we have expanded our support team. Some of you have noticed that we've got new folks on board with us that are talking with us and working with it and taking calls and helping to service people's accounts. We've expanded the sales group, initially led by Craig joining us here this past year, but we've also seen our marketing group expand as well as the logistics team. And so literally the organization has just about doubled in the past 12 months, and I believe we're going to have to do that again. So it's exciting to see this kind of impact internally and externally, and really make sure you take ownership of your part in that. It's the advocacy that we receive from our customers and our VBOs, the 16,000+ five-star reviews that we enjoy are all a part of why that's taking place. And so it's great for us to see this in this regard. We've also seen that as the success and the growth of the company has happened, and I do seem to have lost my slides here, we've also seen that some of our core beliefs about the role of organic, making sure that our products are safe and free of herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, heavy metals, synthetics, petroleum byproducts, those things that can be a part of the supply chain with fruits and vegetables that we see with conventional growing. We have made a commitment to make sure we maintain a purity with our products and a safety for you and your family. That's very important to us. And so for many that have heard us talking, you know that we have expanded our efforts with One Tree for the Planet, where we've planted more than 1,000 trees this past year. We will continue to expand on that effort as well. We have engaged with Repurpose, and we are now a plastic neutral organization, which we're excited about. We continue to look at ways to reduce any plastic that we are using across the board. But even with the plastics we do work with, we've now reached a neutrality with those, and we're beginning also to then clean up with what happens with plastics. You know, we have concerns, as I know many of the people I talk to have concerns with how plastics have become this pollutant that it's no longer just the fungicides, herbicides, and pesticides we have to worry about. It's literally plastics raining from the sky. These microplastics and the role they're now playing in crops that we literally can find ourselves eating. And of course, the waterways and the oceans around the world are a critical effort for us. And so as we begin to continue to expand, reaching out to those 1 million families that have been a driving focus for us, you know, we have seen what these kind of efforts can mean, because for us internally, just as we know with the people that we work with, food safety and security is critical, not just today and in the future. We also are working with, and you'll see the icon there on the slide, World Central Kitchen. Those that have heard me speak at various events as we've traveled know that World Central Kitchen is an organization that we have a real strong belief in the role they can play in making our society better. They are an organization that's essentially focused on food security in the moment, whether it's feeding millions of families, quite literally millions of families during the pandemic here in the United States and other parts of the world. They're also an organization that rushes in whenever there's a crisis. That may be an earthquake, that could be a hurricane. Literally, it could be the fires that not only have we had here in the US, in Canada, but in Europe. They are there to make sure that people have meals to eat. And beyond that, making sure that the supply chain, not just the what they can carry in with them to feed to someone, but the local supply chain is intact with a workforce that can prepare hot meals for people to enjoy. This really speaks to a larger set of issues for us, talking about food safety and security. You know, anybody that's read our blogs, you know, we talk about this all the time. It's something we believe in, and we believe as a corporate citizen, not just of the US and countries around the world, but just globally, it's an important effort for us to make. And so in this season of giving, lots of focus on that type of thing this time of year. we are going to kick off a campaign beginning in the next couple of weeks to work with World Central Kitchen to make considerable donations to the efforts that they make to feed those individuals that are facing these dire circumstances. And so for us, we're going to kick this off with a $25,000 donation effective immediately. That'll be the seed money to get this campaign started. But I also want to invite each of you to consider participating with us. Even if it's just $1, we'll be sending out a link. There'll be a webpage and something you can engage with. And for those that do choose to donate with us, we're going to send you a specially prepared recipe book, a digital recipe book that we'll send to you as a token of our esteem and appreciation for you joining us on this campaign. So there'll be more to come on that in the weeks ahead. We're super excited to be able to engage with World Central Kitchen and make this offer to each of you, and just being conscious of our responsibilities to the world at large. As I wrap up here and get ready to throw this back to Craig and we jump into the meat of this wonderful day, I just want to express a deep appreciation for each of you, from myself, from my family, from our staff, for what you do for us on a daily basis. We're coming up here in the U.S. on Thanksgiving, a time to reflect and think about those things that we're thankful for. There's so many things that we're thankful for on a daily basis, but it all begins with each of you. We know that it's for some of you, it's a quiet sharing and effort that you make on a daily basis to do your part for society. And then here you are advocating for products that can impact people's lives in a profound way, literally change people's lives and reduce their risk of disease, reduce their risk of death. I mean, these are important factors. And I don't know that we always pause in the chaos of the moment to sort of recognize that. So we want you to know we're thankful for each of you. We're thankful for what you do. We hope that you see that in our gratitude on a daily basis with how we service and work with the business. And so we're excited. I'll have more that I'll share later. I get to participate not only in the panel, but a closing discussion at the end of the day. But we're excited for this, and we're excited for the trajectory we're on to make sure that we make a lasting impact on the world around us. We vehemently, as an organization, want to leave this place better than we found it. We want to make sure we're focused on individual health, food safety and security, and happiness and hope, so that those that follow us will be able to enjoy a world in the same way that we were, and perhaps even better, right? That's our goal. That's our goal as an organization. And we appreciate that you're joining us for that journey. So with that, I'll now send it back to Craig, and I'm excited to see this full program today.
Thank you, Eddie. I love being involved with a company who gives back and who cares so much about their products. They are ultra clean, ultra green, and they get results. Next up, Sawyerstone Touchstone Essentials social ambassador will conduct a drawing for 3 fabulous product prizes around our detox, build, and balance product platform. She'll give away 1 detox prize, 1 build prize, and 1 balance prize. We'll have more prize drawings at the end of the event, so it pays to stay to the very end. Please welcome Sawyerstone.
Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, depending upon where you're tuning in from. Thank you guys for joining us today at the Wellness Summit, and thank you, Craig, for starting us off. I know that everybody is anxious to see who wins prizes, so let's go ahead and get started. Our first prize of the day is going to be a bottle of our Pure Body Gut Detox, and if I could get some assistance with the spinning wheel, thank you. We'll go ahead and get started. Congratulations to Sally Bank. You won a bottle of our Pure Body Gut Detox. We'll get these shipped out later in the week. Alrighty, next up, we've got a bottle of our Super Green Plus D. This is one of our bottles from our Detox and Build lines. And if I could go ahead and get that prize wheel up, we'll go ahead and get started. Congratulations to David Lish. You've won a bottle of our Super Greens Plus D. We'll get these out to the winners later in the week. And our final prize of this round is a bottle of our Calm 250, our pet CBD oil. This is from our Balance line. And if I could go ahead and get that prize wheel up. Congratulations to Monica Jordan. You've won a bottle of our Calm 250, our pet CBD oil. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's Wellness Summit. We're going to do one more round of prizes later, so please stick around and hang out with us for the rest of the event. Craig, back to you.
Thank you, Sawyer. One of the things I find most exciting about our Touchstone Essentials is our product platform. It's a simple three-step process for building or winning back your health. I'll spend the next few minutes introducing our product approach to wellness through our Detox, Build, and Balance product platform so you can see how to quickly and easily share the good inside with others. And I'll go through a few products and some slides here, but again, I want to quickly introduce you to our product platform. Detox, Build, and Balance. It's that simple. And one of the things that we want to do is keep this so simple that anybody can do it, because everybody in this world needs to detox, build, and balance to have improved health. So we detox, number one, with zeolites. Number two, we build with superfoods. And number three, we balance with CBD. Again, it's that simple. And what I'd like to do now is take you through a tour of our product line through the lens of this Detox, Build, and Balance product platform. Let's start with detox. Detox number one, we want to detox daily. And with zeolites in Touchstone Essentials, we can detox daily, unlike some other products, herbal products and so forth, that you really just can't detox daily. These products are gentle enough that you can do a daily detox. And when you do daily detox, you can enjoy reduced brain fog, more restful sleep, support immunity, and alkalize the body, among many other things. So let's talk a little bit more about our zeolite products, and I want to introduce you to our zeolite detox pack, which is a Pure Body and a Pure Body Extra. The Pure Body is in our green label, and it is liquid drops, and the Pure Body Extra is in the blue label, and this is a nano-sized spray. Both of these products work to detox heavy metals and toxins, which is really important, and they do it because zeolite is a natural mineral that is formed when lava meets seawater, and it creates a natural negative charge, which is a very rare thing in a mineral. So it's got a rare natural negative charge, and when it's inside the body and it comes in contact with a heavy metal or a toxin that has a positive charge, it just binds it, kind of like a magnet. So it attracts it just like the north and south end of a magnet come together. The same thing happens here. So it's not magic, it's scientific. Again, when it's in the body and it comes in proximity to a positively charged a toxin or a heavy metal, it will bind it, pull it into its Swiss cheese-like structure or cages that they have, and makes it inert in the body. So when it removes it from the body, it doesn't reintroduce that toxin to the body, so it's gentle on the way out. It works fast. It removes these toxins from the body within 4 to 6 hours because there are no receptor sites for zeolites in the body. It just follows the renal pathway or the urinary pathway and removes it from the body in 4 to 6 hours in a very gentle way. That's why we can do daily detox. As I mentioned, there are liquid drops for gut and body. They're sized, micron sized for the gut, so that they focus on toxins and heavy metals in the gastrointestinal system and clear up, clean up, and detox that gut area so that you can have better gut health. And ultimately better health throughout the body because the body works through the gut. Nano-sized spray is a cellular detox. These nano-sized particles are small enough that they fit into a water molecule, and those water molecules can circulate anywhere throughout the body, including inside the cell. So this becomes a very awesome cellular detox. So between the two, you're detoxing the gut and body and detoxing the cells for an incredible detox that is mild, gentle, and quick. As I said, it leaves the body in 4 to 6 hours. one of the best things about it is it's odorless and tasteless, and it's very, very simple to take. If you get pill fatigue, for example, you just use drops or spray. It's very simple, very easy to do. This is something that I do on a daily basis, and I find it very simple and easy to do. And one of the great things about it is it holds GRAS status, or generally regarded as safe with the FDA. So it's been studied, it's been used by humans for hundreds of years. This is a very safe product. It does a mild detox, and therefore it's great for anybody of any age. So that's our zeolite product. Let's move on to our build category. These build products, we build with superfoods. And when we're talking about superfoods, we're talking about products that are loaded with plant-based enzymes and phytonutrients, natural vitamins and minerals, and organic goodness that builds and supports and strengthens the entire body. That's how important these products are. Now, many of us don't get the required amount of fruits and vegetables daily that we need, and the variety of colors in our diet through fruits and vegetables that we need, so that we're getting those anti-aging antioxidants and other phytonutrients that are so important to build, strengthen, and repair our body. Well, you can get that with our build products through our superfoods. They improve energy in the body, metabolism, improve digestive health, heart health, and so many more things. Let's take a look at all of our build products and our superfood products. The anchor of our build products is Super Green Juice. This is a powerhouse. It is a powdered drink mix. You just take a scoop and put it in your favorite liquid, stir it up and drink it down. But look at all the things it does. It alkalizes the body with greens. It has anti-aging antioxidants. It detoxifies with herbal powerhouse products like chlorella and spirulina. This is actually a great companion product for the zeolite to help detox through another pathway. It includes digestive enzymes to help digest not only the food that you eat, but also help digest this product itself. It has enzymes that help to digest carbohydrates, proteins, fats, milks, and cellulose. So it's got cellulase in there to help digest cellulose. Why do you think you need that? Well, because this is such a plant-rich product. There is cellulose in this product, so the cellulase helps to digest this product and the plants in this product so that you get even more out of it. Well, there's heart-healthy fiber, 3 grams of fiber, immune support through mushrooms. You get that vitamin D, the arabinogalactans and beta-glucans that come in naturally in mushrooms. Natural energy through this product, through the herbs that are included, like matcha green tea. Probiotics. There are 1 billion colony-forming units of probiotics in this Super Green Juice, both spore-forming and non-spore-forming probiotics, so that it gets through the acids of the stomach and helps to populate that lower bowel. And then, of course, all natural vitamins and minerals. All of the goodness that you need to energize your body and give it those phytonutrients that you need to thrive and have vital, vibrant health are in this product. I take it on a daily basis, and I can attest, if you're looking for real energy and just a natural boost to your day, Super Green Juice is fantastic. And a great companion product to this is our organic super protein. I call this my delicious, nutritious, bloat-free organic shake, right? Delicious, nutritious, no bloat protein shake. And it's just that. This is delicious. It's a natural vanilla flavor. You can mix anything in it to make it taste exactly how you want it to taste. But talk about nutritious. There are complete plant proteins from superfoods that are in here. Just to name a couple, you've got pea protein, and you also have fermented rice protein. That's an important one because of the fermentation. It is pre-digested, and therefore your body doesn't have to digest it. And that's one of the reasons you don't get the bloat that you get from other protein shakes. It also has branched-chain amino acids that help to build and repair and strengthen muscles. MCTs to support metabolism, but also to give you this feeling of fullness and satisfaction in this product. Organic omegas for heart health, brain health, joint health that are in here. These are plant-based omegas. They're easy to digest because there are enzymes in this product as well to help you digest the proteins and other things in here. And of course, it's gluten-free, soy-free, dairy-free, no added sugar, nothing artificial. So it's an incredible and incredibly nutritious protein shake. When you combine it with the super green juice, there is nothing better for providing you with incredible nutrition than those two in combination. And that's what I do. I like to mix my super green juice with my organic super protein, mix it up and take it every day just to make sure that I'm getting the nutrition that I need. Let's take a quick look at our targeted nutritionals. We've got number one, Essentials. This is 26 superfoods that provide organic phytonutrients. And so I look at this as our whole food multivitamin and mineral. You're getting your natural vitamins and minerals in a whole plant form. So fantastic product for that. Super Greens Plus D. This is greens plus vitamin D plus probiotics. This is our probiotic product. Sometimes I wonder if we forget that because of the name Super Greens Plus D. It's important to know that you're getting your greens from superfoods, and you're getting your vitamin D from a mushroom source, along with other, beta-glucans, arabinogalactans, and those wonderful immune supportive ingredients from mushrooms that help to build your immune system. But in addition to that, 5 billion CFUs, or colony-forming units, of probiotics in this product. And they're both spore-forming and non-spore forming, and as we said, that helps make sure that you're getting them through that through the stomach and into the lower bowel, where it can populate the lower bowel and do the good that it does. So a fantastic product just to help improve the gut health, and therefore mood, but also boost the immune system and gives you those greens that you need for phytonutrient support. Let's take a look at Wellspring. Wellspring's a combination of two inflammation-fighting powerhouse herbs, turmeric and ginger. Fantastic for fighting inflammation. And in combination with that, we've added omegas from a plant source. Not a fishy aftertaste product, but omegas from a plant source, so that you're getting the optimal omega-3, 6, and 9 in those optimal ratios to help your heart health, brain health, joint support. So Wellspring is great for fighting inflammation, so it works really, really well for joint health and flexibility, mobility of the entire body. Let's move on to Green Energy. Green Energy is a wonderful product for natural energy without stimulants. The energy comes from, first of all, green tea, which is known for energy. It is a superfood. It's a powerhouse superfood that is also anti-aging, antioxidant, great product for just natural energy. But in addition to the green tea, we have added proteolytic enzymes, or protein digestive enzymes. And these protein digestive enzymes do a great job as you take them in between meals to help with platelet aggregation, or they stop the clumping of red blood cells to give more surface to those red blood cells, so that you can get more oxygen onto those red blood cells, and they can transport more oxygen to the different parts of the body. So you're oxygenating your body better, and then getting the benefit of the energy from that powerhouse green tea. So that's how Green Energy works. It's a great product, again, for natural energy. Let's move on to Boost Focus Fuel. This product is a great product for that natural caffeine boost that you want, but it adds other products to it. You also have adaptogenic herbs in addition to the green coffee bean extract. And so you get a nice lift that's sustained without a jolt and without a crash at the end. And in addition, we add the Garcinia cambogia, which helps with metabolism and helps to suppress the appetite. So this is a great one for weight loss in addition to energy and focus, and it works great when combined with our organic super protein. So leaving that, let's take a look at our balance products. These balance products, we balance through CBD, and we do that because we're feeding the endocannabinoid system. And as we feed the endocannabinoid system is great at maintaining and balancing all of the other systems of the body. And in addition, CBD is great for improving sleep, joint discomfort, muscle aches, everyday stress, and so many more things. Let's take a look at some of the other things that it does. We have 5 incredible products in the line, but they fight temporary temporary inflammation, everyday stress, joint discomfort, restful sleep. This is one of the things I use it for, and I take it every night. And if you want deep, restful sleep, boy, these products are fantastic for that. In addition to that, promotes heart health because they've got in that hemp oil natural omega 3, 6, and 9 essential fatty acids. They fight free radicals, help with exercise recovery, and they balance the body systems. Let's take a quick look. One of the things I love about our product line of CBD is that we have choices. There's broad spectrum. And when I say broad spectrum, when you take CBDs from whole plant hemp, you also take along with it all of the other cannabinoids. There's 114 cannabinoids in hemp, in natural hemp. One of those is CBD, another one is THC. But CBD is the star, it's the hero, but along with that, there are all these other cannabinoids that make CBD work much better in the body. And so you want the entourage effect, and therefore you want the broad spectrum. Some competitors isolate the CBD and give you CBD only, but for the best effect, you want all of those other cannabinoids along with the CBD to get the best effect. Now we have our CBD with THC and without THC. So the broad spectrum is with a full spectrum of cannabinoids minus the THC and full terpene load as well. And it comes from organic hemp, but we have the zero THC for everyday use in our pet product, in Calm 750 and in Calm 1500 milligram. We use clean extraction to make sure that you don't get any toxic byproducts in your product. And we have a quick absorbing nano emulsification process so that it gets in and works fast in your body. But we also offer a full spectrum with the THC in our Calm Advanced 1500. So we give you choices in serving size at 25 milligrams and also at 50 milligrams, but we also give you a choice with THC and non-THC. It's lightly flavored with organic mint, and we also have a topical balm product that you can apply right to the joints and muscles to soothe and stimulate joints and muscles, just to make sure that you've got a wonderful sense of calm and well-being. Well, those are our products. We've gone through that very quickly, but that's our product line, our product platform. With our product platform top of mind, I'm excited to introduce our first guest, Dr. Alex Lee, who will focus on detox, step 1 of our product philosophy. Dr. Lee is a renowned medical doctor and gastroenterologist who resides in Scottsdale, Arizona. Dr. Lee will share a presentation called Invisible Damage: How Toxins and Heavy Metals Can Cripple Your Health. Please welcome Dr. Alex Lee.
Wanted to thank everyone for taking the time to be with us on this wonderful event today. I also wanted to thank Craig for that introduction, and of course Eddie Stone and the entire Touchstone team for putting this event to for us, and I know there's a lot of work that goes into it. So what I wanted to do today is really to talk about toxins and their effects on our body. And toxins are inevitably all over in our ecosystem. Unfortunately, over 80,000 toxins that have been identified take a toll on our bodies. And these toxins can have insidious effects, things, causing things like tiredness, weight gain, brain fog, sleep problems, digestive problems, but also they can cause more severe effects on our bodies, things like cancer, heart disease, hypertension, and many other more serious illnesses. So unfortunately, we're exposed to these toxins from the minute we're born, actually from before the time we're born until we die. And our bodies, think of our bodies as being the filter. So the air we breathe, our lungs are the air filter. The food we eat, the food, gets digested and goes through our liver. And certainly the water that we drink gets into our blood system, goes throughout our body and gets filtered through our kidneys. So it affects our immune system. All these toxins can cause not just simple things like allergies and asthma, but more severe immune problems. So this is a really, really significant problem. And, I'm not going to talk about every single toxin because that would be impossible. But I just wanted to focus on the most common ones and just basically bring to your attention the severe issues that we face today. And these heavy metals and toxins are everywhere. They're in the water we drink, the food we eat, the air we breathe, but also they're in our homes, in our home goods. You're likely to find them in your kitchen cabinets or in your garage. Also in medications, and also in things like plastics and toys that your children play with. And also it's actually in our soil. So it's very, very difficult to avoid that. We can't live in a bubble. And toxic symptoms are not normal. Things like heavy metals that occur naturally, impacting important organs and systems throughout our body. And not only do they impact it upon, introduction into our bodies, but also these heavy metals and toxins gets incorporated into our tissues, into our cells, into our brains, and into bone and other organs. So once it gets into our systems, it stays there. Same thing with plastics, with BPA, BPS. You may have heard about that in our environment. These things can disrupt hormones. They actually can trigger weight gain, cause chronic fatigue, and cause other significant problems. And finally, food additives. These are common ingredients that we see in, basically a lot of our drinks, a lot of our other foods, and they're toxic to the gut. They can cause inflammation, so it can cause inflammation in the joints and cause a lot of gastrointestinal problems. So you may ask, well, how bad can it really be? Let's say I'm trying to live a very clean lifestyle. I eat organic foods. I, God forbid, drink from bottled water. I drive a Tesla. I'm not polluting the environment. How bad can it really be? Well, it can be extremely difficult to get away from these toxins, even though we try to live a clean life. For example, going to the grocery store, you may find that the organic foods that are being sold there may actually have contaminants from the soil or from the water. And so there may be heavy metals and other toxins, as well as things used to make containers like plastic bottles may contain BPAs and other carcinogens. So we can't really live in a bubble and get away from it. So what can you do about that? Well, the truth is that in this scenario, we're exposed to heavy metals like arsenic, mercury, lead, aluminum, chromium, cadmium, and many other heavy metals, as well as toxins. Many of these toxins are man-made. Glyphosates, such as found in pesticides and herbicides like Roundup, a lot of the artificial sweeteners and colors we have, the BPAs that are used to make plastics and phthalates as well. And then these forever chemicals, PFOAs, things that are used to make Teflon, and also pesticides. So once introduced into our environment, unfortunately, many of these toxins remain in the environment. And some of these toxins are found in almost 97% of Americans today. So this is a critical problem. And it's worse than you think. Many people say, well, I have trace maybe a few parts per million. Well, if you actually look at the studies, the average American has 212 toxic chemicals in their blood. And over 200 toxins are found in the cord blood of babies. So babies are being born already exposed to these toxins. And as I mentioned, forever chemicals, the PFAS is found in the blood of 97% of Americans. And many of our water systems actually have high levels of lead, over 2,000 water systems. And the EPA actually have actually announced that several thousands of our the fish from thousands of our rivers and lakes are actually not fit to eat. And recent tests on baby food even shows that 95% had toxic heavy chemicals, heavy metals, and other chemicals. So again, this is a problem that is actually universal throughout our country and throughout actually the entire world. I'm just going to focus on the dirty dozen. So we call it the dirty dozen because these are 6 heavy metals and 6 toxins that I'll talk about. Again, as I mentioned, I just want to impress upon you how significant these toxins and heavy metals are, and also how insidious they are throughout our environment. So let's talk first about mercury. Mercury is a heavy metal. It's now found in seafood and rice. It's found in beauty products. It's even found in the silver, quote unquote, in our dental fillings and in fluorescent bulbs. So it's found really throughout our environment. And the problem with mercury is that it causes many health effects throughout the brain, the immune system, the kidneys. And some of you may have heard of the Mad Hatter. This is from Alice in Wonderland. And there's something called Mad Hatter's disease. And so Mad Hatter's disease started to be recognized in the late 1700s and 1800s because they were using mercury to cure the felt that were used in hats. And these people that made hats started to develop symptoms like tremor, insomnia, they had excessive shyness, they developed headaches, also weakness, and that actually could not interact in society. So we know now today that mercury toxicity can cause many of these things. It actually kills brain cells, and also causes muscle weakness and developmental delays. So mercury is found throughout our environment. And lead, another heavy metal, very similarly, it is found throughout our homes in old lead paint, for example. So many homes that are built before 1986 have lead in the paint. It's also found in drinking water, in lipstick, imported canned goods. Again, lead is a toxin, and it has many side effects and negative health effects on our brain, our heart, and other organ systems. Concerning thing is that lead actually gets stored in our organs, and it can stay there for many years to be released years later. For example, it gets stored in our bones, and decades later it could be released into our bloodstream. And lead, in terms of its negative effects, can cause heart, high blood pressure, ADHD, poor memory, fatigue, irritability. Also, it can affect the gastrointestinal problems, causing constipation. It's also associated with reproductive problems and hypertension, high blood pressure. So again, another heavy metal, another toxin that really is affecting many, many people. Arsenic, another heavy metal. It's found in drinking water and soil. It's now found its way into our fruit juices, grapes, etc., and our fertilizers. So it's now been found in our food supply. And arsenic is a carcinogen. It is associated with cancer of the lung, cancer of the bladder. It also can affect the brain as well in terms of cognitive impairment and long-term memory. Arsenic also can get into the lungs and cause fibrosis and cause chronic lung disease. So again, arsenic, another one of those dirty dozen. Aluminum, again, aluminum is everywhere, not just in aluminum foil. It's actually found its way into the water system. It's in the air. Actually, antacids like Maalox and Melanti contains aluminum as well. And it's actually used in some vaccines and in our medications. So aluminum actually causes cognitive impairment. It's been associated with Alzheimer's, dementia. So it, again, affects our memory, our attention, and learning. It can cause fibrosis of the lung and decrease nerve system function. Aluminum can also cause blood problems like anemia. And again, it's insidious. It can get into our systems from a young age, but it can actually create significant problems from a health standpoint. Chromium is another heavy metal that's, again, found in our food and water supply. It's been used and found in beauty products, and that's actually it's an industrial pollutant. And chromium has significant effects on the lungs and our immune system. It is associated with lung cancer and nasal and sinus cancers, as well as causing things like asthma, and dermatitis. And another heavy metal, cadmium, that's found actually in cigarette smoke, as well as things like in our fertilizers and jewelry and in some of our foods. So cadmium, again, is a significant carcinogen. It is associated with lung, kidney, and prostate cancer. It can also cause depression and anxiety, as well as heart disease and chronic inflammation of the joints and other organs. It's also been associated with bone issues and kidney disease. And so I just talked about 6 of the heavy metals. Let's talk about toxins. Many of these toxins, as I mentioned, are man-made. One of them is glyphosate, which is a weed killer. So it's found in Roundup. And the EPA has actually, in the past, published concerns about glyphosates and its effect on people. But it's now found in our food supply. It's found on the soils and the water, as well as actually in our homes, in our lawns and gardens, and used in our parks that our kids play in. And glyphosates are actually connected with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a type of cancer. It actually damages the DNA of our cells. And it also can kill gut microbiome, which basically is very important in the function of not just our intestinal tract, but our entire body. So dysfunction of the gut microbiome not only causes things like diarrhea, bloating, or constipation, it also is associated with various types of heart disease, inflammation of our joints, and in some cases, even cancer. The glyphosates also causes respiratory issues like asthma and allergies, and can cause gluten intolerances like celiac disease, gluten intolerance, which is associated with many, in many instances, diarrhea, weight loss, and chronic fatigue. Artificial colors and sweeteners, again, it's ubiquitous. It's found in drinks, in our cereal, and foods, in our baked goods and candy. And the problem with these artificial colors and sweeteners, in terms of its negative health effects, is that it disrupts our appetite hormone. So it causes weight gain. It can increase blood sugar, again, damaging the gut microbiome, which is critical to the function of our intestinal tract and actually other organs. And there's been association with various cancers and tumors with artificial coloring, as well as hyperactivity in children, depression, and irritability. And let's talk about BPA and BPSs. So these are found in the plastic water bottles in the manufacturing. This is bisphenol A and S. It's found in food packaging, the lining of our many of our products that we use to package food, the lining of food cans and food storage containers. So the concern in this is that BPAs and BPSs oftentimes mimic hormones. So it can cause weight gain. It's associated with thyroid problems, thyroid dysfunction, heart disease, inflammation, high blood pressure, and in some instances, cancer. So again, something that is ubiquitous. We find it in so many of our containers that we use to store food or transport food. And yet, it's very, very difficult to avoid. Let's talk about phthalates. These are chemicals used to soften plastics. So it's found in cosmetics and other personal care products. It's found in the toys that our children and grandchildren play with. It's also found in plastic pipes. So pipes used to carry water that we drink, and also in food packaging and detergents. So phthalates can cause hormone disruption of the thyroid, the pancreas. It can slow your metabolism. It causes weight gain and insulin resistance, which is basically diabetes, and reproductive issues. So again, phthalates are very, very significant toxins in our environment. And PFOAs, perfluorooctanoic acids, these are forever chemicals. They're used to manufacture things like Teflon, but we use Teflon coating. Let me just go, okay. Let me just go back one more. Non-stick cookware like Teflon, but it's also found in carpet production. It's actually found in microwave popcorn and food packaging as well. And that's also used as stain repellents in our clothing, and it's made its way into our drinking water supply. The problem with these forever chemicals is that once they get into our environment, they stay there for, basically forever. And so we found that it causes thyroid diseases, insulin resistance, cancer in some cases, high cholesterol, which can lead to heart disease, and they damage the immune system significantly. Finally, pesticides. So pesticides, again, is ubiquitous. We're finding now in our water supply, it's in our food system, in our soil. It's basically found in, our lawns, our gardens, and our parks. And as we know, pesticides can destroy the healthy bacteria in the gut. So the microbiome that is so important to us, it can cause digestive health issues. It can then lead to nutritional deficiencies, immune problems. It's also associated with cancers and reproductive problems, as well as hormone disruption. So again, all of these things, as you can tell, this is a pattern. They affect not just one organ system, they affect multiple organ systems, and they can get throughout our body. So what can you do? Basically, our bodies are essentially sponges, right? Everything that we drink, we eat, we breathe, that we're exposed to, our body soaks them up like a sponge. And what can you do about that? So yes, we can live a cleaner life. So using natural cleaners, avoiding plastics and Teflon, drinking enough fluids, keeping yourself well hydrated, eating organic foods and eating more superfoods, getting enough rest and exercise. Yes, that can be helpful. But unfortunately, that still is not enough for us to be able to get rid of the heavy metals and toxins from our body, or to avoid them. And living in a bubble is not practical. We can't avoid all the toxins and heavy metals that are in our air, our water systems, in our foods. Now, you may have heard of detoxing, and there's many ways to detox. Detoxing is essential because you want to clean all the heavy metals and the toxins out of that sponge that's in our body. That basically our body is a sponge, and you want to get all of that dirty water out of there. And unfortunately, detoxing is not always easy. It could be expensive, sometimes dangerous. So many of you may have heard of chelation therapy, where they inject heavy metal chelates that take the heavy metals out of your body. But those can cause severe allergic reactions. They're very expensive, can cost thousands of dollars. And it requires multiple sessions of injection of chelating agents into your bloodstream. And in many cases, these detoxing efforts can be limited in their effectiveness. Some people use colonics, they try to purge, which can be actually quite, quite caustic to your body and limited, because those types of detoxing only cleans out your intestinal tract. And that's why I want to bring up natural zeolites. That's why natural zeolites are so important in the whole scheme of detoxing your body. So when you do detox and reduce the burden of heavy metals and toxins in your body, just remember, from the time you're born or before you're born, you're already accumulating all these heavy metals and toxins throughout your body. And so when you do reduce the toxin load, you now can see increased energy, you're sleeping better, better quality of life, your thinking, your focus, your memory are all improved. And also, you want to improve your immune system. So your immune system is critical to fighting infections. And not only that, you depend on your immune system as surveillance against cancer cells. So the immune system actually attacks cancer cells when they develop. and tries to kill them before they become cancers. You also depend on your immune system. When your immune system becomes overactive, now you have inflammation. So you can get inflammatory problems like not just allergies, asthma, but joint issues, as well as more severe inflammatory problems, which are now related to heart disease and other issues. So that brings us to clinopilolite, zeolite. So zeolite is actually, as Craig mentioned earlier, this is a unique mineral. Zeolites are actually natural minerals, or actually formed from the interaction between volcanic lava and seawater. And zeolites form over many thousands of years. And it's unique because it's actually one of the few negatively charged minerals. So zeolites actually are like cage-like, three-dimensional cage-like structures. So they attract and trap heavy metals like mercury, lead, arsenic, cadmium, etc. And then they detoxify them and get rid of them out of your body naturally and safely. Zeolites also alkalinizes the body. So it's very important because you don't want your body to be acidic. When you're sick, you become toxic, or you become, let's say you get an infection, and your body becomes acidic. So zeolites alkalinizes the body. They improve the immune system. And I mentioned how important the immune system is to your body. They also support gut health. And as I mentioned, they may improve mood, actually, and thinking, and mental clarity. So those are just some of the benefits of zeolites. And so you may ask, how much toxic load of heavy metals and chemicals and chemical toxins is acceptable to have in your body? And the answer is no, none. You should have no toxic heavy metals and toxins in your body. And so if you had a solution to safely and naturally remove those heavy metals and toxins from your body, why not use it? Who would benefit from it? Well, essentially everyone can benefit from it, from babies to adults. And so what's important and what's unique about Pure Body Extra zeolite is that the particles are nanosized. So if you just take zeolite, which is a mineral, it's like a rock, and you grind it up, and there are some products out there that are basically ground up zeolite. Unfortunately, when you ingest it or get it into your body, it's not going to get into your bloodstream. Those zeolite particles are too large, and they will not cross the intestinal barrier. They won't get into your blood, and they won't get into your tissues. What's unique about Pure Body Extra is that these are nano-sized zeolite particles. So they're extremely small. They're nanometer particles in size. And so they do cross the intestinal tract when you ingest it. And they can get into your bloodstream and actually they can even cross the blood-brain barrier and get into your brain. So most particles are too large and cannot cross into your brain. But nano-sized particles like Pure Body Extra can. And that's where it can have some positive effects. So the other thing that's important is that zeolite in its natural state, because it sits at the bottom of the ocean when it's formed, and when it's mined, many of them actually have already absorbed heavy metals and toxins that's in the environment. So things like mercury, lead, arsenic, nickel, and other heavy metals are found in natural zeolite stone. And there needs to be a cleansing process to clean those heavy metals and toxins out of the zeolite. And thankfully, Pure Body has cleansed all of those heavy metals and toxins out of the zeolite, and it's been replaced with actually beneficial calcium, sodium, and other electrolytes. So now you've got the sponge, you've cleaned it out, and you filled it basically with just calcium. And so that's very important to realize that there are no heavy metals and toxins, in our product. So the purity of the zeolite is very, very important. So as I mentioned before, Pure Body, it's already been cleaned. So you have a very clean cage or sponge. It's negatively charged, so it actually attracts and then traps these heavy metals like mercury, lead, arsenic, cadmium, and carries them out of your body primarily through the kidneys and into your urine. So it's critical to realize that this product is relatively unique in that it's nanosized, it gets into your system, and it's absorbed into your body and gets into your bloodstream, and then it can do its effect. So if, as I mentioned, if there's a product out there that is safe to use, it's not harsh, it's actually quite affordable, and actually you can absorb it, gets into your bloodstream, into your cells, and into your brain, why not use it? So Pure Body Extra is basically nanosized, as I mentioned. It gets throughout your body. So it targets the toxins at your cellular level, actually gets into the cells. And that's one of the benefits that's very important to realize, that it works at the molecular level. So it helps the enzymes by removing toxins. And in doing so, your enzymes in your body actually can function at a more efficient level. So that's why you get more energy, you have a clearer mind, and it replaces the bad toxins with good minerals. So I just want to bring up one anecdote. This is about Easton. So Easton's family wrote to us because Easton actually was toxic. He wasn't walking. They tried everything, and he couldn't get past his plateau. And finally found out that he was lead toxic. And using Pure Body Extra, the family started using it. And 2 weeks later, they tested again and found that the lead levels had actually decreased. And actually, Easton's symptoms actually disappeared. He actually began walking, regained his function. And this is just one of many, many stories. So I've been researching, I've been actually studying, and I've been passionate about detox and zeolites for almost 20 years now. And I've literally have gone back hundreds, if not thousands, of positive anecdotes about the use of zeolites. And it's just really great to get feedback about families like Easton's that have had positive benefits from detox and from zeolites. So with that, I'm going to close and thank you for your time. And I'll be available later. We have a question and answer session in a little bit. So thank you, and we'll see you out there.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. That was outstanding. We can all benefit from this valuable information on how toxins impact our health and how it's essential to detoxify on a daily basis. Next, please welcome Sawyer Stone to introduce 2 VBOs who have personal stories to share on how detoxing with zeolite changed their lives.
Thank you, Craig. And Dr. Lee, that was wonderful information. I really enjoyed learning about that. Please join me in welcoming 2 advocates of Touchstone Essentials Detox line, Denise Longton and Jamie Grogan. They're here to share 2 testimonials with us about their personal experience with our zeolite or detox line. Denise, if you don't mind starting, and then Jamie, we'll hear from you next.
Sure. Thanks for having me. Well, that was great information that Dr. Lee shared. And I think that Pure Body Extra is such a great product because, in my opinion, detox is kind of like the missing link to the root of so many of our issues. And my whole family uses it and loves it, even my grandchildren. And recently, my grandson's mother came to pick him up at my house, and she got out of the car and she had these unsightly patches all over her face. And I asked her what was wrong. And she said, well, when she's pregnant, she gets these eczema patches and she just can't get rid of them. And so I explained about zeolite. I gave her some to try. And 3 days later, she had sprayed a little bit on her face and also in her mouth. 3 days later, it was completely gone and she looked great. So definitely a big game changer for her.
Wow, that is very awesome. I know how I have eczema as well. And when it's on your face, it is just something you think about all the time.
Yeah.
Amy?
Yeah, so I'm gonna agree 100% with Denise. It's, it's that missing link. And for me, I always say that it was the missing piece, because I spent my entire life looking for answers for this, and that, skin, heart, all these things I was experiencing, and everybody just kept telling me, add this, take this, add. And it wasn't working for me. And no one ever told me the importance of removing what's already in our bodies. At 27, I started experiencing seizures. I was unable to walk without the support of a cane. I was on 37 prescription pills a day. I had multiple heart diseases, multiple diagnoses of heart disease. And I'm telling you, I tried everything. All the supplements, all the medications, all the therapies, the treatments, the lifestyles, right? And it wasn't until I learned about zeolite and started doing a little bit of research, because to me, it was so simple and it made sense. There's toxins in our body that are causing whatever they're causing, remove them. And it was like, wow, how come nobody ever told me this? So now I am 2 years off of all medications. I'm almost 3 years seizure free. My skin issues are cleared. I had a tremor. It's barely even noticeable anymore. People used to comment on it, and now you can't even tell. Like when I meet people, they don't even notice anymore. Last year, or maybe almost 2 years ago now, January, I was able to have my heart monitor that was implanted removed. It was after my first normal EKG that I've ever had. And I'm just so grateful, because it's such a simple thing that we can take, does simple thing within our body. And now I'm free of all of these things.
Wow, that is very wonderful to hear. I'm so happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear how the zeolite has helped y'all's lives and everybody else's that it's been a part of. Craig, I think that's it for this round of testimonials, but we'll be back later. Back to you.
Wow. Thank you, Denise and Jamie, for sharing your amazing stories. I don't know about you, but I can never hear enough about how our products change lives for the better. Well, next, we'll take a 5-minute break, but this isn't a typical 5-minute break. Elisa Galper, Touchstone Essentials brand ambassador, singer, model, actor, and yoga instructor from Seattle, is going to show us how to make a delicious matcha protein smoothie. So sit back and experience a delicious recipe for goodness.
Hello everyone, my name is Elisa Galper. I hope you're enjoying the Wellness Summit so far. I am here to present to you my special recipe for an afternoon pick-me-up. I call this the Matcha Delight. It's hopefully not going to take more than 5 minutes of your time, but I'm going to show you how we can incorporate the super protein, which has 18 grams of plant-based protein, and the super green juice with 44 superfoods right in this tiny little scoop. Is a great way to also add nutrient to your afternoon pick-me-up. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is preferably have a decent sized blender. You can add any milk of your choice. So I'm going to move you guys down a little bit here. You can see. Okay, so we have here the unsweetened coconut milk. Again, like I said, you can use any milk of your choice. You just want to do about a cup and a half, just depending on how big of a smoothie you want to make it. I like to do about that size. We're going to start with 2 scoops of our protein powder. Ta-da! Ta-da! And 1 scoop of our super greens juice. This stuff tastes amazing. Honestly, sometimes I just have it with water, and it's also another great way to just give me a little afternoon kick. All right, we're gonna also add frozen bananas because I like the potassium for muscle recovery, and also it just makes the smoothie a little thicker and gives it a nice consistency and a little sweetness. I'm a big date fan, and dates to me are also another great way to sweeten the smoothie. I add about 2. That is gonna be up to your discretion. And then, last but not least, we have our matcha, and we're just gonna do about, I like to do about a flat tablespoon, so nothing crazy. Just give it a nice, pretty green color. And that is all the ingredients. So we're gonna go ahead and blend that up and see what we end up with. So excuse the noise here while we do what we do. Okay, the moment we've been waiting for. Oh, look at that pretty green matcha color. So hopefully you guys can see here. Nice and thick, beautiful. If you don't like it as thick as I do, just add more water, more ice, or more milk of your choice. And that's gonna change up the consistency to your liking. I personally love a nice, thick, satiating smoothie. So let's give it a little taste test. That is matcha delight. Okay, sorry for being corny. Anyways, a little bit about me. So I am first and foremost a professional singer. I also dabble with commercial acting and modeling, and I teach yoga, and I also work in the financial sector. So I have my irons in a lot of fires, which is why I need to always be energized, on point, putting on different hats, sliding into different roles. So my health and my well-being is of utmost importance to me, and I take my protein shakes and my nutrients very seriously. So I'm really happy to be partnered with Touchstone Essentials and to get direct nutrients from the source, and to know that it's from a trusted provider brings me a lot of peace. So I hope you guys are learning a lot, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the summit. Take care, and I'll see you on the socials.
Thank you, Alisa. That was great. To kick off the second half of our Wellness Summit, please welcome nutritionist, adjunct professor, and master herbalist Cindy Klement, who will show us why superfood nutrition is essential to building good health. Following Cindy, we'll have more real-life product stories with Sawyer. Cindy.
Thank you, Craig. I'm excited to be a part of today's Wellness Summit with Touchstone Essentials. But before we begin, in case you're wondering what's going on with my cheek, I'm going to share the story. In February, I will be making my 70th journey around the sun. Yeah, I can't believe it either. But I'm still a kid at heart, and I thoroughly enjoy volunteering in my granddaughter's kindergarten class. Well, I was at recess with the kids, and I was near a play structure, and I knew that someone was going to fall, and I caught them. But let's also note that their boot caught my cheek, and thus the redness. So we're much better now. Everybody's fine. So we're going to move on to the presentation. Now, during this summit, we are going to be learning a lot about building, detoxifying, and balancing the body. So what are some of the steps to building a body? Well, first we have to develop a realistic exercise program. We need to express gratitude and joy in our family and friends and companions. We need to get enough sleep. We need to de-stress. We need to shed unwanted weight. We need to build muscles, and we need to eat healthy and get essential nutrition. So today, I'm going to focus on the nutrients that help to build the body, especially when it comes to something called insulin resistance. Because folks, it's something we all have the power to control and the power to prevent. Why are we talking about building a strong foundation through nutrition? Well, as many as 9 out of 10 Americans do not get adequate intake of at least one essential vitamin or mineral. In fact, according to the Linus Pauling Institute through Oregon State University, 75% of the US population do not get the recommended daily intake of fruits, or 80% of the US population do not get adequate intake of vegetables. So these nutrient deficiencies are not because we don't eat enough calories. We get more than enough quantity-wise, but rather it's the quality of the food that we're eating and the nutritional content of the food that we eat that's really the problem, and it's a big problem. Take insulin resistance, for example. It's not a disease, but rather it's a syndrome that includes a group of problems such as obesity, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and type 2 diabetes. According to the Centers for Disease Control, it affects as many as 1/3 of the Americans. You might also hear it referred to as metabolic syndrome, or MET-S for short. Now, insulin resistance occurs when the body doesn't use insulin well. And remember, insulin is a vital hormone that regulates blood sugar in the body, and we really can't survive without it. So how does insulin work? Well, it's a little bit of a complicated process, but here are some of the high points to it. The carbohydrates that you eat are broken down into glucose, or sugar. Now, this glucose then enters the bloodstream, which signals the pancreas to release the hormone insulin. Insulin is the key that unlocks the cells so that the sugar or the glucose can get in there and provide energy for the cells to use that energy. Insulin also signals the liver to store blood sugar for later use. Now, as the glucose enters the cells and their levels in the bloodstream decrease, the insulin secretion decreases as well. Now, lower insulin levels throughout the day alert the liver to release that stored glucose, so energy is always available, even if you haven't eaten for a while. Now, that's when everything is working smoothly, but this is a finely tuned system that can quickly get out of whack. When it's not functioning properly and a lot of blood sugar enters the bloodstream, the pancreas continues to keep pumping its insulin to get that glucose into the cells. But over time, the cells stop responding to that insulin, at which point they become insulin resistant and the insulin can't get in. The pancreas keeps making that insulin, however, trying to get those cells to respond, and eventually the pancreas can't keep up. The blood sugar keeps rising. And again, that lots and lots of glucose in the bloodstream is really damaging to the body, and it needs to get out of there as quickly as possible. There's lots of insulin then too, and then that tells the liver and the muscles to store that blood sugar. But when the liver and the muscles are full, the liver sends that excess blood sugar to cells to be stored as fat. And yep, now that means you're gaining weight. And what's more serious is now the stage is being set for prediabetes. So who's at risk? Well, more than 88 million Americans, that's over 1/3 of the population, now have prediabetes, and more than 84% of them don't even know they have it, because insulin resistance doesn't have a lot of signs and symptoms. But here are some things to consider. If you're male and you have a waistline of over 40 inches, or if you're female and your waistline is greater than 35 inches, that could be one of the signs. If you have elevated blood pressure readings, elevated fasting glucose, elevated triglyceride levels, and something called dyslipidemia. So ideally, we have a lot of HDL cholesterol in our body and a very low level of LDL. That's when things are working well. Dyslipidemia means, whoops, now we've got our good cholesterol down here and the LDL up here. So those are the signs and symptoms. But it isn't really exactly clear what causes insulin resistance. But if you have a family history of type 2 diabetes, if you are and have been physically inactive, if you're over the age of 45, they can all raise your risk, including being overweight. In fact, experts really believe that obesity, especially that excess body weight around our organs and our belly, which is known as visceral fat, that is one of the main causes of insulin resistance. As a side note, excess weight can not only lead to that insulin resistance, but it may in turn be part of the development of something called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Now, certainly not getting enough physical activity is linked to insulin resistance, because regular physical activity causes changes in the body that make it better able to keep that blood glucose level in balance. But how do we get in this shape? Well, again, we exercise less and we watch more TV or something on our phone or our computer. In fact, less than 25% of Americans exercise regularly, and yet the average American finds over 3 hours each day watching electronics and television and things like that. And again, our muscles are going to use much of that sugar that our bodies produce. So if we don't use our muscles, we're not using a lot of sugar. And as a result, that builds up in the blood. Secondly, we consume more food and sugar. The portion sizes at home and in restaurants have tripled in the past 3 decades, and we're eating out far more often. In 1953, 24% of the meals were eaten outside of the home. In 2018, that number jumped to 44%. And those meals out of the home typically have less fiber, more fat, more sugar, more salt, more calories, and they're more expensive. Now, we have other risk factors, of course, that can cause insulin resistance, including, again, that diet high in what's called a simple carbohydrate, which is usually those quick sugars. Another cause of insulin resistance, that history of heart disease and stroke. If you were pregnant and you had gestational diabetes, if you're a female and you have polycystic ovarian syndrome, that could be one of the risk factors for developing insulin resistance. If you have a family history of blood sugar disorders, whether high blood sugar or low blood sugar, if you're a smoker, if you have hormonal disorders, if you have problems with sleeping, especially sleep apnea, and ethnicity. Insulin resistance is more likely if your ancestry is African American, Alaska Native, American Indian, Asian American, Hispanic Latino, Native American, and even Pacific Islander American. So lots of stuff. And although you can't change your risk factors, such as your family history, your age, or your ethnicity, you can change your lifestyle risk factors around eating, physical activity, and your weight. And these lifestyle changes can lower your chances of developing insulin resistance. Because there are complications to insulin resistance when it's not addressed. And it can lead to severe high blood sugar or even severe low blood sugar. It can lead to heart attacks and stroke, kidney problems, eye problems, cancer, Alzheimer's disease. And remember, this insulin resistance is a precursor to developing type 2 diabetes. And people who have diabetes are at greater risk of developing blindness and loss of toes or feet or legs. So how do you find out if you're insulin resistant? Well, as I mentioned, not one single test will absolutely tell you. It's a syndrome. It's not a disease. But if you have those high blood sugar levels, high triglycerides, that bad cholesterol is high and your good cholesterol is low, your healthcare, and you've got that excess weight around the middle, your healthcare provider just may determine that you have that insulin resistance. So if you have IR, you want to become the opposite. Instead of being insulin resistant, you want your cells to be insulin sensitive, because when they're insulin sensitive, they're more effective at absorbing that blood sugar and less insulin is needed to be produced from the pancreas. So again, physical activity, it's going to make you more sensitive to that insulin. And it's one of the main reasons it's a cornerstone for good health in general. But I might want to add that while exercise doesn't reduce insulin resistance in and of itself, it can certainly help to improve blood sugar control. Now, weight loss is important too, and so is reducing stress and getting enough sleep. The National Institutes of Health funded a research study that showed that for people who are at high risk of developing insulin resistance or diabetes, losing just 7% of their starting weight helped to reduce their chances of developing it. And folks, if you weigh 200 pounds, that means only 14 pounds can make a difference. Now, how did they lose weight in this study? They changed their diet and they became more physically active. So these lifestyle changes do work. But again, so does getting the proper nutrition, because remember this, vigorous exercise is going to create free radicals in the body, and we need antioxidants and nutrients to offset the damage that they incur. So we really need to focus on getting the nutrients that we need. And a great starting point, in my opinion, is incorporating super green juice into your everyday health regime. Why, you ask? Well, folks, because in addition to that exercise, getting enough sleep and reducing our stress levels, the National Institutes of Health recommends fiber, colorful fruits and vegetables, protein, antioxidants, and omega-3 fatty acids in order to have better glucose and insulin levels. Now, in the super green juice, we have 44 superfood plants with 3 grams of fiber, 3 grams of protein, 1 billion colony-forming units of probiotics from 4 different strains. And remember, some of the plants in the super green juice also help our bodies with detoxification and liver support. Super green juice also helps to alkalize the body, because when you have an acidic body, that's going to trigger inflammation. It's going to slow the metabolism down. And what are the alkaline foods? Fruits, vegetables, things like that, that are all in the super green juice. Super green juice also provides those antioxidants that we create when we exercise. So regularly consuming antioxidants is thought to boost not only digestion and brain health, but to protect against heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and abnormal cell proliferation. Now, super green juice also contains what we call adaptogenic plants that help the body better handle and adapt to stress. We've got eleuthero root, which is also known as Siberian ginseng, and that helps to increase energy and improve our cognitive function and enhance our exercise. Rhodiola rosea can decrease the effects of stress on the body, and as well as the fatigue that is generated. The super green juice also contains mushrooms, and according to research, cordyceps mushroom can help boost our exercise performance. Cordyceps possesses anti-aging properties, both inside the body and outside, and can help to manage type 2 diabetes. According to the research on turkey tail mushroom, that shows that it helped to improve athletic performance and improve insulin resistance. Now, also, in addition to a really well-publicized Chinese study that reported that barley grass juice was beneficial in lowering cholesterol levels in patients with type 2 diabetes. Barley grass in this product. Chlorella has a long history of use as a food source and contains both macro minerals, micronutrients, proteins, omega-3 fatty acids, vitamins, minerals, and all of those can help to improve that hyperglycemia, that too much sugar in the blood, and hyperlipidemia, that mixed up cholesterol level in the body. Whereas ginseng has been shown to improve pancreatic function, as well as boost insulin production and enhance the uptake of blood sugar in the tissues. So an amazing product that we should be using on a daily basis to build our body. Now, as a side note, toxins, we know that toxins affect insulin resistance as well. Everyday exposure, we are all exposed. Recent studies have shown that persistent organic pollutants and pesticides, organochlorine pesticides, are consistently and strongly associated with obesity-related metabolic syndrome, including that dyslipidemia and insulin resistance. Pesticides, also phthalates, they act as a synthetic estrogen, and they can also cause insulin resistance and lead to obesity, impaired fasting glucose, and elevated triglycerides. Additionally, studies have shown that BPA is an endocrine disruptor, disrupting the function of insulin. Parabens, they've been reported to cause this beta cell dysfunction, and the beta cells are where the insulin is produced from in the pancreas. That these parabens can also affect insulin secretion following spikes in blood sugar concentrations. And so therefore, folks, it's imperative that we detoxify on a daily basis. And now when it comes to the endocannabinoid system, the National Institutes of Health have a publication called The Effects of Cannabinoids on the Endocrine System. And in this paper, it states that the cannabinoids have been confirmed to have a significant impact on the endocrine system, endocrine hormonal system, including the activity of the pituitary gland, the adrenal cortex, the thyroid gland, and the pancreas. So that's good news for insulin and blood sugar issues. Now, insulin resistance is just one of the many, many, many reasons we need to support our endocannabinoid system with CBD. And during this conference, we're also going to learn about balancing our bodies and balancing that endocannabinoid system through Dr. Robert Greenberg's presentation, another not to miss event. Now, nature has provided the plants that we need to help support our heart health, to maintain normal blood sugar balance and insulin levels. Nature's plants can also assist us in stress reduction, in weight loss, and provide extra stamina for exercise and extra stamina in general for daily living. But these plants can also provide the essential nutrition that is so crucial to healthy living and a strong immune system. And that's why our bodies need nutritional supplements. We just aren't getting it from our daily diet. So what should we be looking for? We need to be looking for organic superfoods. They're more nutritious and they're less toxic. We need plant-sourced nutrients from real fruits and real vegetables and real legumes and seeds that our bodies can easily absorb and use. We also want to look for products that are third-party lab tested for purity and quality, and supplements that are non-genetically modified, that are vegan and made in the United States. So we really want to be careful with the products that we use, but we have the best through Touchstone Essentials. Now, although I've highlighted the products with ingredients that have been been shown to help regulate blood sugar, it's important that we look at the entire picture. We need to detox, we need to build, and we need to balance. And they're all incredibly important to keep your body's foundation strong. And they also play an important role in maintaining that healthy blood sugar. So that concludes my presentation, folks. And it's back to you at this time, Craig. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Cindy. That was wonderful information about our bodies and the way they interact with our blood sugar. Is very interesting. Please help me welcome now 3 people whose lives have been changed by our Build product line. Please welcome Jana Clinton, Alan Newell, and Nadia Gilbert. Jana, we're going to start with your testimonial, and then we'll go to Alan, and then we'll hear from Nadia to close us out. Jana, whenever you're ready.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to share this. My name is Jana, and I'm going to be talking about my husband's diabetic type 1 testimony. And he's been a diabetic for 51 years. And so I'm hoping that the people that are diabetics out there, type 1, that have been struggling, that this is when you, listen in on that. So here's how it goes. Mark is always a fan of Super Green Juice, and he's been on it for 3 years, and he takes it every morning. And one of the things that he was going to with the doctor was, how are you doing, Mark? And he said, I'm still struggling with the lows at night. And I don't know about you guys, but if you live with a diabetic and you have a low at night, you're out for an hour and you have to raise those blood sugars. And in the morning, if you have to go to work, right, you might have a mild headache, you might be groggy, you might be moody, all those things kind of pop in. So the well-being of your life, you're just not functioning right that next day. And so if you have a low 2 or 3 or 4 times a week, it's pretty over accumulated time. It can be very disruptive. So Mark has an alternative doctor that he loves, and Dr. Yazzie is a fan of Super Green Juice, as is Mark. And so what's so cool about that is that when he said to her, I'm still struggling with my lows, immediately she said, Mark, I don't know if this will work, but why don't you try Super Green Juice? And for those of you that have a Descom, right, and it reads your blood sugar 24/7, when we tried it that night, we went to bed at 80 blood sugar, and it was 80 in the morning. So I don't know about you, but if you guys have looked at your Dexcom, it's never a straight line, right? So significant difference in his blood sugar, reduced his A1C. He is not a vegetable guy, so the nutrition was a win for us that way. And so we will be forever grateful to have that, because as a diabetic for 51 years, your body has a lot of stressors, right? And to have one thing that you can put in your body, that's a warrior product. So we'll be forever grateful for the Super Green Juice.
Thank you, Jana. That's wonderful to hear, and I'm happy to hear that about Mark. Alan?
All right. Thanks, Sawyer, and thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. Excited to share this testimony. I've been enjoying the products for many years, but as many of you have probably experienced over the past couple of years with the pandemic going on and being at home, homeschooling kids and not getting out, not going to, for a long time, the gyms were even closed, weren't able to go, weren't able to get in and work out and get the exercise. I got up one day and got on the scales and was shocked to see that I had gained over 37 pounds. And I knew my clothes didn't fit as well, but I was wearing most of the time sweat clothes. I wasn't going out. I wasn't wearing many of my dress clothes because people weren't out. And so I said, we have a transformation pack that has our protein powder, our Super Green Juice, and our Boost Focus Fuel. And I talk about it all the time. And I said, well, I'm going on the 10-day transformation. Well, 10 days turned into 20 days, turned into 30 days. And I am now down 37 pounds utilizing the products. I was on a video call the other day and somebody said, oh my gosh, how much weight have you lost? And so I really am excited about the products, and we talk about it all the time, and just really glad that they work exactly like they do. And I feel so much better now that I've lost weight. And so Sawyer, thanks for allowing me to share that.
Alan, congratulations. That's a big number, and I know that's a feat, so that's wonderful.
Thank you.
Nadia?
Thank you so much, Sawyer, for allowing me to share our testimony. We had an awesome experience utilizing Super Greens with D. The product is truly life-changing for our entire family, and it has worked so well to provide the nutrition that my son's body needed when we were detoxing him last year and still into this year. So last September, my son was a nonverbal 4-year-old. So he had not spoken. He lost speech at around 18 months. And for 2.5 years, we had no words from him. And someone mentioned that heavy metals could be playing a role in what was causing him not to be able to speak. And they said, just try this bottle. So I said, okay, what do I have to lose? We did some hair testing. We established that he had really high levels of lead as well as aluminum. So we started using the spraying. Within a few weeks, he was speaking. I mean, he was counting, he was requesting for juice. It was amazing. But we were like, I started to get more into Touchstone and all of the amazing products. And I understood how important whole food nutrition was. And that's when we introduced the Super Greens with D. And it was like an explosion. The child that we have now compared to the child that we had a year ago is completely different. He was able to go into a mainstream school because of the huge changes that occurred in his body. And our family is completely different because of the changes that happened through using the Super Greens and the Pure Body. And I mean, we're just so overwhelmed and so excited because it was such an awesome experience this past year. Thank you.
Nadia, that is wonderful. I'm thrilled to hear that. That's a great, wonderful testimonial. Mainstream school is very cool.
Yeah.
So,
thank you guys.
Thank you guys for sharing your stories with us. And I appreciate that a lot. Craig, back to you.
Thank you, Sawyer. And thank you, Jana, Alan, and Nadia for those great product testimonials. Absolutely fantastic. I love to hear those stories. Well, many of you met Dr. Robert Greenberg at Mastermind in Scottsdale. For those of you that haven't met him, you're in for a real treat. Dr. Greenberg is a highly sought-after health expert with a distinguished background. He has a PhD in biochemistry and is also a doctor of chiropractic medicine. You will enjoy his profound insights on whole body health and how to restore balance. Following Dr. Greenberg's presentation, Sawyer will be back with another round of wellness stories. But first, Dr. Greenberg will share with you how to calm the sympathetic nervous system to bring balance to the body. Please welcome Dr. Robert Greenberg.
Hi, thank you, Craig, for those very kind words. I'm honored and privileged to be here today. And I want to thank you and Eddie for inviting me to be part of this presentation. It means a great deal. And I think I've got some information that will be fun to share and learn about, and something new and exciting. So let's begin. There we go. I want to begin this story by telling a little bit of a story. And this is about a man that is walking down the beach. And as he's walking down the beach, he sees off in the distance that a little boy is bending down, picking up something from the beach and throwing it into the water. And he sees this little boy do this over and over again. And as he gets closer to the little boy, he says to him, "Well, what are you doing?" And the little boy said, "I am taking all of these starfish that have washed up on the shore here, and I'm putting them back into the water where they belong." And the man said, "Well, when you think about it, with all the beaches in the world and all the starfish that have washed up upon the beach, you really can't make a difference." And with that, the little boy bent over, picked up another starfish, threw it into the water, and said, "I made a difference to that one." And so he did. You see, I think that's why we're all here. We're all here to make a difference, whether that difference is to ourselves, whether that difference is to our family, our friends, our loved ones, our clients, our patients. We're here to make a difference. And that's what we're really after. And that's a question that I have asked for 35 years. And that difference is what I call the first domino effect. And that is, what can I do that makes the biggest difference of all? What step can I take? Why do people get sick? How do they get well? What can I do to make a difference, to find that first domino? And to be honest with you, I've looked in formulas, I've looked in complicated pathways, I've looked in all types of methodologies. And what I found was something that is simplistic. In fact, so simplistic that I'm going to take you on a journey with me and see if you can find that this, in fact, may be the first domino, and it may make the biggest difference. Well, it's about stress and the fact that stress kills. It's like living on the edge of a cliff. It is something that we all think about, we know about, but we really never spend that much time going any deeper into it than that. Oh, I don't know how this got in there. When you make eye contact with the car next to you during a traffic jam, I guess that's how we all feel for a moment. There are a number of different types of stress, and we oftentimes think of those just in terms of mental or emotional. But there's also other types of stress, like injury, like illness, like chemical, like physical, like electromagnetic. And many of us don't even consider electromagnetic as a stress, and yet it is a significant stressor that we have to take into consideration. And of course, nutritional as well. So when we talk about stress, we're really using all of these terms together. Well, way back in 2014, even WebMD admitted that stress is a problem. In fact, look at that statistic. 75% to 90% of all doctors' office visits are for stress-related ailments and complaints. So this really tells us that this is an unexplored avenue that very well may be that first key domino that may really give us that ability to make a difference in ourselves and in our patients and friends. So let's take a look at this next slide. You don't need to really memorize any of this or know too much of it. This is the nervous system. And really what we're going to talk about is that the nervous system is broken down to central and peripheral, and that eventually the peripheral is broken down into autonomic and somatic. But we're going to talk about the autonomic peripheral nervous system. And that's broken into two subcategories called the sympathetic and the not so sympathetic, or the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system represents the gas. It represents that force that really moves our body. It stimulates us. It is oftentimes referred to as the fight or flight mechanism, and that's the sympathetic response. The second is the parasympathetic, which is just the opposite of the sympathetic. It's not the gas, it's the brake. It is the part that we often refer to as the rest and digest segment of our nervous system. This is where healing occurs. This is where we need to get to when we want to get well, when we want to improve. And we'll also find, as we go through a little bit of this discovery period here, that so many mechanisms were designed to only work in the parasympathetic and not in the sympathetic. So let's see what starts to happen. Well, The parasympathetic and the sympathetic have control over almost all functions of the body, as you can see. One may cause constrictions of the pupil, like the parasympathetic, where the sympathetic causes dilation. So you can see they're opposing and they're opposite. One may cause to stimulate digestion, like the parasympathetic, and one may actually inhibit digestion. So that's an important little clue for us to look into a little bit further. So let's take a look at what happens and how our body takes in stimulation. We bring in stimulation, whether it is visual, whether it is hearing, whether it is feeling, whether it is smell, whether it is taste, regardless of the stimulation, we bring it into the body through a portion of our brain called the thalamus. And the thalamus has to act as the switchboard to all of the stimulation that comes into the body. And it instantly has to make a decision. And it sends it to the amygdala, a portion of our limbic system. The amygdala has to look at it and make an instantaneous decision as to whether this is a danger, a threat to us or not. And that's very important. So every stimulation that comes in goes through the switchboard, and then it goes into the amygdala. The amygdala says, this is a danger, this is not a danger. If it is a danger, it has to react instantly, because after all, it can only miss a danger one time. That tiger hiding behind that rock can only be missed once. And that tiger is really what we are hardwired to protect ourselves against. So we can't have that happen. So the amygdala is responsible for that. Now, every time the amygdala gets put into that response mode, it does something. It actually gets physiologically larger. And by getting physiologically larger, it also reacts more acutely to the next stimuli that comes through. So think about that. It's like either a very solid protective mechanism or a negative feedback loop, because every time we respond to that stimuli, the amygdala gets larger, it becomes more sensitive, and it reacts more to the next stimuli. Do you see where this trend is going? So every time we begin to react to a stimuli, we are setting ourselves up to react to the next stimuli even more acutely, and in some sessions, even more severely. So you begin to see that this is a self-perpetuating or a negative feedback loop that actually stimulates itself. The amygdala gets larger. It then causes a greater response with the next stimuli that comes in. Very, very important. Now, in that same mode, as the amygdala gets larger, the hippocampus begins to shrink. And as the hippocampus begins to shrink, we lose certain abilities. Those two major abilities we lose are memory. What was I talking about again? And we lose the ability to process, to think with our full brain, and we move into our survival area of our brain. So the hippocampus shrinks, we lose our memory, we lose our ability to process, we lose our ability to learn new material. And instead of learning new material, we're locked in this amygdala sense of fight or flight. Now, every time the amygdala gets bigger and every time it gets turned on, it's like turning the thermostat up one tiny degree. Oftentimes we don't feel that at all, do we? We're not aware that the temperature is increasing slightly, but yet it's happening. And yet the amygdala continues to respond more and more. Now, all of this comes down to what I want you to look at in this chart again, is the lower right-hand corner. It's all about producing a hormone called cortisol. And when cortisol gets produced by this entire pathway, this is what begins to set up these reactions that I'm going to share with you. So what I want you to get from this, very simply stated, is the amygdala responds to stress and stimuli. It gets larger. It starts reacting more acutely and more severely. The hippocampus shrinks. It actually loses our memory, and it does not allow us to learn new material. All of this happens as a result of cortisol. So let's move on a little bit. Once we have a short effect of cortisol, that is what we're supposed to experience. It does some wonderful physiological things to prepare our body for fight or flight. It increases our heart rate. It increases our blood pressure. It causes blood to rush to the essential organs and muscles for us to fight our way out of this danger or flee from that danger. And that's what our body is supposed to do. Additionally, it also causes an increased breakdown of glycogen to glucose. What this means is that we've got more glucose now floating in our bloodstream. It also increases the floating circulating fatty acids. The reason it does those two things is to give us that energy that we need instantaneously to fight or flight to get away from this. And finally, what it does is it improves our oxygen delivery to the cell and our carbon dioxide uptake, which means we are really efficiently using oxygen and carbon dioxide. All of this means we're ready to fight. We're ready to run away. We're ready to do whatever we need to do. And this is a hardwired mechanism for survival. And thank goodness we have that, right? Because otherwise, we probably wouldn't survive certain stresses, would we? And this is what we're hardwired for. We are hardwired to survive the onslaught of the attacking animal that causes us to move instantly into fight or flight. We don't need to worry about our immune system in this case. We don't need to worry about digestion. We don't need to worry about so many other physiological reactions in the body, because right now we only have one thing to worry about, don't we? We either need to survive through fight or flight, and that's exactly what we are wired to do. But then we were hardwired after going through that severe stimulation, and assuming we survived that saber-toothed tiger, we are meant to relax. We are meant to unwind. We are meant to return back to the parasympathetics and to leave the fight or flight mode. But unfortunately, that's not really what happens in life. Nowadays life, we don't have that opportunity to return. We have effects now of this long-term stress. And while they may not be as obtuse as the saber-toothed tiger attack, they are nevertheless dangerous. Dangerous because they don't end. Dangerous because we don't return to that relaxation state. Dangerous because we do not move back to the parasympathetics, to that rest and digest, that healing mode, but instead we stay locked up into our sympathetic nervous system, our fight or flight. Our gas is always, what is that, pedal in the metal, so that we are moving as quickly as we possibly can to survive this long-term stress. So this is going to take a toll that is very different than what we were hardwired to accomplish. We were hardwired to get stressed, to get stimulated, and then to allow the parasympathetics to kick back in during relaxation so that we could become balanced and healed. And that's really not what we go through. Instead, what we go through is this long-term exposure to this low level of stress that goes on, and it has an effect on almost every single mechanism or system of the body. And I'm going to show you that right now. The first one we're going to talk about is inflammation. We know that cortisol in small dosage is actually a fantastic anti-inflammatory. However, in long-term exposure, the receptor sites of the cortisol hormone become resistant. And when they become resistant, they can no longer control or regulate inflammation. And so inflammation starts to run wild through our system. And when inflammation runs wild, we could really stop here and not even go through all of the other slides where we're going to talk about the different systems, because science has shown us that almost without exception, almost all disease states, almost all conditions, almost all imbalances have inflammation as the underlying causative factor. So even if being in a hypersympathetic state, a dominant sympathetic state, only caused inflammation and did nothing else, it would still create havoc within the body and probably would be the underlying causative factor of almost all conditions that occur. However, we're going to see that there's a lot more involved with this sympathetic dominance than just increasing inflammation. For instance, oxidative stress. Oxidative stress happens when we create in our body a high concentration of free radicals. Well, free radicals are not the same thing that we remember back in the 60s in Berkeley, and those were free radicals that used to march on campus. This is a different type of free radical, and this free radical causes oxidative stress, which damages our cell walls, and if left unchecked, can even damage our DNA. And so oxidative stress is something very severe that we must deal with. So this happens as a result of sympathetic dominance, sympathetic overload. Moving on. The next thing, which is very easy to realize, is insomnia, is that when cortisol is in our system and is not tapering off as it's supposed to as we get close to our bedtime, we are never going to be able to sleep, never going to be able to rest properly. And for those of you who say, I can fall asleep, but I wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning, this is also a cortisol imbalance due to a sympathetic dominant situation leading to insomnia. And of course, when we have insomnia and we're not resting, the resultant myriad of symptoms and problems and conditions that are created from this are extensive. So again, just insomnia being there alone would be extensive enough to justify that this may really be the first domino, but it doesn't end here. It continues on with autoimmune diseases. And this is something that has really become, oh gosh, I would say the plague of the 21st century. Autoimmune is on such a tremendous rise like we have never seen before. And while our ability to treat the thyroid conditions or the rheumatoid arthritis or the Sjogren's or many of the other autoimmune conditions has improved, we're still not talking about the underlying causative factor of this. And this really is this sympathetic dominance, this fight or flight mechanism, because when we're in fight or flight, our immune system shuts down, doesn't it? We don't need the immune system during that fight or flight mechanism. And what happens is when we're moving in and out of it, we're kicking in, we're dropping, we're kicking in, we're dropping the immune system. And this irregularity creates the body's confusion that then moves on to attack itself. So we don't think about this often in treating, in looking at, in considering autoimmune diseases, but in fact, long-term effects of stress, sympathetic dominance is truly the causative factor. Remember this, I wanted to include this so we didn't forget that 1 minute of anger weakens the immune system for 4 to 5 hours. 1 minute of laughter boosts your immune system for over 24 hours. So if we can't laugh at the moment, let's at least put a big smile on our faces, and let's not take any of this too seriously. And let's remember that all of this is very helpful to our immune system. And just by smiling, we can feel so much better. Continuing on, we have brain and memory problems from the effects of long-term stress. We mentioned those before, didn't we? We said that when we are in that sympathetic dominance mode, our amygdala increases, our hippocampus decreases, and that causes that memory loss. It causes us to move into a different part of our brain. And in that part of the brain, which is often called the lizard brain or the survival brain, we are not capable of learning new material. So if you ever wondered why you can't remember or learn new material, many of us at my age or beyond will say it's a senior moment, but it really isn't. It may just in fact be the sympathetic dominance. Digestive system is easy to understand because we shut off digestion when we're in sympathetic mode, because digestion is a parasympathetic process. It is all about rest and digest. Our blood sugar goes sky high because we are breaking our glycogen reserves down. We are dumping them into the body in the form of glucose. And it's doing that so that we can survive the onslaught of the saber-toothed tiger, to either fight or flight, to get away from that. And so our blood sugar regulation is horrible. Weight gain. So many of us will gain weight and we go, I'm not eating any different. I don't understand what could possibly be causing that. Well, we can't break down food, digestion. We can't absorb food if we are in fight or flight mode. So sympathetic dominance causes our whatever we eat to be stored as fat. So we get weight gain, and then we wonder, why is this happening to me? I'm not eating any differently. I'm still eating low caloric intake, or I'm eating no more calories than I used to, but I'm gaining weight. It could be a great indication that we are in fight or flight mode all the way. Stress to the cardiovascular system is extensive. Our heart was not meant to be pushing that hard, to race that hard. Our blood pressure, all of those things to be exaggerated, all happens as a result of this. Muscle and bone loss. Well, how often do we look at conditions of bone loss, particularly whether it's osteopenia or true osteoporosis, and we say, well, that person definitely needs minerals. But you see, even sometimes when you throw those minerals in there, it's not going to matter, because those minerals aren't going to get in, and bone loss is going to occur as a result of long-term stress as well. So we've got to look at the underlying causative factor. The next one is hormonal imbalances. Well, there is a process called pregnenolone stealing, which is what the body does when it needs to make cortisol. So the body rates making cortisol as the most important hormone in the body. Why? Because if I don't have cortisol, I can't survive the attack by the saber-toothed tiger, right? So I can only have that mistake once. So my body's not going to let that happen. So it does something called pregnenolone steal, where it takes all sexual hormone precursors and converts them to cortisol instead of making hormones. So many times we may see a condition or have a condition in ourselves that is represented by a hormone imbalance. And we think just by adding hormones that we're answering the problem. But again, we're not looking at that first domino and understanding that this is all being created by that same cascade of events that happens from long-term stress. Premature aging happens, and of course, that's a result of the high oxidative stress. That's a result of insomnia. That's a result of all of these things that occur because we are in long-term stress created by sympathetic dominance. Speaking of sympathetic dominance, this is what happens to you, and this is what you feel like after 3 Zoom calls back to back. Maybe we can stimulate our immune system with a little chuckle. We also have allergies as a result of long-term stress. So often we blame it on the sensitivity, the allergen that's bothering us. We may treat or look at underlying type of conditions, but are we really getting to the root cause, to the first domino, which of course is this same scenario? And we're going to talk about the fact too that we create a lower sex drive and a lower sex appeal. Well, we all understand that when we're stressed out, that our sex drive can drop significantly. But there was a study done at the University of Stockholm that had to do with sexual appeal. And what they discovered was that people who are under stress, people who have higher cortisol levels, people who are going through this cascade of sympathetic dominance are actually less appealing than people who are not. And it really isn't about our looks or those pleasing physical characteristics that we think about, but it really has something to do with this hormone that's in our body that is an instant turnoff to the opposite sex. So you wonder why others aren't looking at you the same way. It may just be about cortisol levels. So we've got this scenario that's involving the limbic system, where we have increased the size of the amygdala. It is now reacting more severely, more frequently. We are now reacting more and more acutely than we ever did to a situation. And conversely, the hippocampus is shrinking. We are not learning as easily. We are not remembering as easily. All of these things have actual physiological responses in the limbic system, and we've got to find something that can change those. Fortunately, right at our disposal is something that can begin to downregulate the autonomic nervous system. It can downregulate the overstimulation of the sympathetic. It's easy, it's simple. We know about it already. Others have talked about it. And I'm not going to get into details about how it relieves stress and reduces inflammation. We know those. Does it do it strictly through the endocannabinoid system, or does it do it by regulating the autonomic nervous system? So I raise that question for you to ponder a little bit and think about, because I believe that the autonomic nervous system is really our first domino that sets this up, that creates it all. That it really is a way for us to make a larger difference. And fortunately, we've got a variety of effective tools to approach this. And I know some of you are using CBD already, but I know a lot of you are not. And I know it's because we're not certain on what to do or how to use it or how it affects us. But I'm telling you, it is an excellent methodology for downregulation of the sympathetic dominance and correcting all of those conditions that we were just going over step by step. And if you're not using it, I encourage you to add it to your detoxification. I encourage you to add it to what you're already doing in Pure Body and PBX together or separately, or with building the body with super green juice or whatever you are using. This will make a significant difference. And we've gone over the physiology and why this occurs and how it is all connected. So sometimes it's not so good to see just the tree. Sometimes it's really good to see the entire forest and how it has the effect. I have looked for that first domino for 35 years in my professional career in treating patients. And I really believe that as we take a step back, that it involves the autonomic nervous system and the sympathetics. So if we really want to make a difference to that lone starfish on the beach, if we really want to make a difference in our own life, in the life of our family, of our friends, of our loved ones, of our clients, of our patients, I think this is the first domino. I think we begin by balance. We begin by adding something to regulate the autonomic nervous system, and watch how much more effective all of our other therapies are. Thank you so much. I hope this was helpful, and I'd like to return back to Sawyer.
Thank you, Dr. Greenberg. That was a wonderful reminder on how stress affects your body in more ways than just like temporary mood, the long-term effects of it, the physical attraction. It's very interesting and good to know, and why I keep 750 at my desk, by my bed, in my car, in my purse. It's a good little reminder. I hope you guys will help me welcome our last 3 testimonials of the day. And these 3 people are going to talk about how the balance line has been effective in their lives. Please help me welcome Sabrina Wright, AJ Voke, and Lisa Peterson. Sabrina, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to AJ, and then Lisa, if you don't mind finishing us off. Sabrina, whenever you're ready, and you're on mute.
There we go. Sawyer, I just want to thank you so much. It's my great pleasure and honor to share with you the delight that I truly have in the Soothe Balm. Soothe has become a go-to in my sleep routine, and it has made a significant improvement in the quality of sleep and how fully rested I feel. With its rich texture and the lavender and eucalyptus essential oils in it, this balm is my nighttime moisturizer. I moisturize my face, my elbows, my knees, even my feet. And the fragrance always brings a sense of calm and peace to me and puts a little smile on my face. The CBD that's in the balm is not only moisturizing my skin, what I have found out is that it also is an anti-inflammatory and an antioxidant, which helps prevent the appearance of aging skin, especially right here. And when you include the lavender and eucalyptus essential oils, it becomes antibacterial and antifungal, and that's useful for treating and even reducing the triggers that go on in our bodies, you know, the eczema or dermatitis or psoriasis or even rosacea. Plus, it helps in healing of burns, bites, and bruises. So it is a staple of my medicine cabinet. And then for all of those body workers out there, it helps soothe away tight, painful muscles. So there are so many benefits that I could go on and on. But I just want to thank you so much, Sawyer, for allowing me the opportunity to share.
Thank you, Sabrina. We have an influencer that her kids call it boo-boo cream for those same reasons, that as soon as something happens, it's the first thing that goes on to the kid after. Thank you. All right, AJ.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. You know, when Touchstone Essentials released the Calm 750 CBD oil, you know, I was really hesitant to try it because I wasn't really sure if it was something for me. But I decided to give it a go anyway because of all the buzz going on about it easing anxiety and stress. You know, I'm a father of 3 young girls, married and a full-time job, so I can use a little less anxiety, right? And in the first couple of days, I noticed a huge difference with my anxiety levels. You know, I felt less stress, especially in the mornings, getting everyone ready for the day. And also before taking the CBD oil, I was tracking my sleep every night with my handy dandy watch. And I was only averaging 1 to 3 hours of actual restful sleep, which really resulted in a lack of energy in the morning. However, after I started with the Calm 750, I noticed that I was now averaging 4 to 6 hours of restful sleep and feel amazing in the mornings. And I'm really super grateful and will never stop taking that awesome product.
That's awesome, AJ. Sleep is very important to know. Lisa.
Hi there. Thanks for having me. It's great to hear everybody's testimonials because you take away something from what everyone's saying. So I hope that what I'm sharing today, someone will benefit from. I have struggled, I guess I've dealt with tremors for most of my life, and it started in my hands. And then maybe about 20 years ago, I went through a really stressful period in my life and my head started. And I became really self-conscious about it. And then I started having people ask me, are you okay? You should probably go get tested for Parkinson's. And I have a big history of MS in my family. So there was just a lot of concern. And I finally went in and I was diagnosed with an essential tremor. And through the years, I just started to learn to deal with it. Meditation, trying to avoid stressful situations, which is way easier said than done, but just trying to figure out a way that I could calm it. And there would be times where it just, nothing was going to help. And then Touchstone came, launched the CBD. And the more I learned about it, I thought, oh, I want to try this for sleep and for anxiety, because I obviously knew that I was high anxiety. And months into using it, I realized my tremors were 90% better, if not almost gone. And people that I hung out with on a regular basis said they never ever would have known I even had the problem. So for me, not only sleep, anxiety, now thanks to Sabrina, I'm going to look younger because it's going to be on my face every night. I just am really, really grateful because it's been life-changing for me. So I'm happy to share.
Thank you, Lisa. And thank you, Sabrina and AJ as well for sharing your stories. We love it. And thank you for hanging out with us today on your Saturday. Craig, I think we're headed back to you.
Thank you, Sabrina, AJ, and Lisa, for your excellent stories. Boy, I cannot tell you how much I love to hear those stories. And Lisa, I had never, ever noticed that tremor before, so that product is working well for you. Well, our next presentation will be in the form of an open discussion with some of our panel of experts. Please welcome Eddie Stone, Dr. Alex Lee, and Dr. Robert Greenberg, who will join me on screen today. Thank you for being here, everybody. Appreciate you. We have several questions that were submitted to us previously that I will ask you to address. I'll direct my questions to a specific person, but if you have something in addition that you'd like to share, please feel free to jump in and speak up and share that thought. The first question is for Dr. Greenberg. As an alternative medical practitioner, where would you begin working with people using Touchstone Essentials products?
Well, hi, Craig. Thank you for the question. I think it's an excellent question. And there were 2 presentations already that were given that give clues to that. Dr. Lee and Cindy gave excellent presentations that gave you clues to the answer to that. And in my presentation, I think I gave the 3rd piece, and that is to understand the simplistic approach of detox, build, and balance. That's where I begin, because it really covers all aspects. The detox, to get all of the poisons, the toxins, the chemicals, the heavy metals out of the body so the body can function better. The build, to provide the nutrition that the body needs to provide and create energy, to do work, to perform all of its tasks. And finally, balance, which we just talked about just a few moments ago, in the down regulation of the sympathetic nervous system and how that creates a better scenario for everything. And so the three of them together is exactly where I would start, how I would start, and it offers a great foundation to move forward.
Thank you for that. So you like our product platform. That's exactly what we're all about, right? I love that. And a great place to start for everybody. Detox, build, and balance, no matter what your health challenge is. Okay, the number 2 question here for Dr. Lee. How long before I see results with PBX? This came in from somebody listening today.
So the results depend, number one, on what your toxic load is. So if your body is chock full of toxins, you may notice the result faster. It also depends on how much of the PBX you're taking. That being said, for the majority of people, again, there's a wide range, but it can vary from several days to several weeks before you notice any results. If you're heavily toxic, you may notice symptoms rather quickly. If you're actually fairly clean in terms of you've detoxified in the past, then the results may take a little bit longer. So I've had people have commented to me that they noticed results within a day, a few hours. I had one actually pretty famous movie actor who came to me within the next day, actually, after starting PBX and Zeolite, and said, I started going to the bathroom and I was urinating all night. And by the next day, I felt 100% better. But overnight, he, had a little bit of a detox effect, was sweating, had a restless night. And by the next day, he said his mental fog had cleared up and his fatigue had gone away. So that may be an extreme case, but I would say for the majority of people, the effects may be subtle. You're not going to necessarily wake up and increase your IQ 100 points overnight, but it may take a few days to a few weeks.
Great. That's fantastic. I love the answer that you gave there. Very comprehensive and understandable. Thank you so much, Dr. Lee. For Eddie, I know many people want to lose weight. Which product or combination of products would you recommend?
Thanks, Craig. And you're right. It is a hot subject, isn't it? And
it is.
While Craig and I were just on the Touchstone tour, some of the most impacting testimonials we received were from people that were losing weight. My own thoughts about this are not to think of it so much as sort of like a diet as much as a lifestyle adjustment. And for a lot of people, where they'll see real direct benefit is to think about adding the whole food products in their diet. And if they can replace a meal a day, and if they're trying to rush it or make it happen quickly, got a wedding, reunion, whatever it is, and you want it to happen faster, maybe replacing 2 meals a day by using the super green juice and the protein, organic super protein. If you'll do this, and if you need more than water, I drink it with water, but if you need a little something more robust, don't hesitate to use any of the plant-based milks that are out there, oat milks or coconut milk, whatever that happens to be that's to your liking. If you need to add a little fruit to it, right? Throw some ice in it so it feels a little more bulky in your belly and make a smoothie, just like the matcha smoothie that we had shared with us earlier. And we've got a lot of those types of recipes on the website. And so something to think about is like take a meal that's easy for you to do this with. Maybe it's in the morning before you head to work. I am a big believer to get some calories in your body. And so you can do that. And then additionally, the 2 things I would just insist on adding, one is boost. There's no question that for a lot of us, particularly as we get a little older, metabolism gets a little tired, slows down. We've heard a lot of wonderful information today about Boost, about how it can impact you, but there's no question that that combination of adaptogenic herbs and the modest amount of caffeine coming from the green coffee beans will give you just enough stimulation to help curb the appetite, but also give you some of that focus that sometimes when you're trying to skip meals, you miss. And so I would use that in conjunction with the Pure Body Extra. We have people that will tell us they've lost weight by doing nothing more than just adding the Pure Body Extra Strength to the regime. And we know that's likely because toxins can force the body to try to sequester into its fat cells to protect itself. And so detoxing is an important avenue for losing weight. So I would use super green juice and protein 1 or 2 times a day, depending upon your goals, combined with Boost and Pure Body Extra as sort of a beginning point.
Awesome. Great answer to that. I'm sure there's many people that want to give that combination of products a try. Okay, next question is for Dr. Greenberg. We've seen through presentations that toxins are everywhere and that we need to get them out of the body, and that PB and PBX are excellent ways to accomplish this goal. But what kind of problems do these toxins create in the body? When there are toxins accumulated in the tissues, their presence can interfere with almost every single biochemical reaction. Is that right? Do you want to elaborate on this a little bit?
Well, sure. That's correct, Craig. It really is quite extensive, and we could probably talk about this for an extended period of time. But let's see if I can summarize. To begin with, from sort of a helicopter view, toxins place an undue stress upon the organs of elimination, upon the liver, upon the kidney. It can even cause congestion of the lymphatic system. So those things alone are taken into consideration. But as we delve more deeply into toxins and the specifics, we see some trends that are very worrisome. The first one is that toxins can interfere with enzymes. And we're not just talking about metabolic enzymes and digestive enzymes. We're talking about both of them together. And toxins actually can bind with the enzyme. And when they bind with the enzyme, they render that enzyme useless. So that enzyme can no longer function properly. And if that enzyme is digestive, you may see it in your digestive system. If that enzyme is metabolic, we may not see it right away until there's a severe enough metabolic deficiency of that enzyme to see it. So one of the real big dangers of toxins is interfering with enzymes. The second thing that I want to talk about in regard to this would be that toxins bind with proteins. And when they bind with a protein, they cause a denatured protein. That denatured protein no longer functions like it is meant to function. Protein function is dependent upon structure. And if the structure of that protein changes, its function changes. And if that is a mobility protein, a transport protein, a action protein of some kind, that protein is no longer able to function. So toxins can actually stop protein functioning through a denaturing process. Finally, toxins actually act on the immune system in a way of almost disguising the immune's ability to act. It causes a deficiency in the immune system. An example of this is that when we eat or consume a food that has pesticide in it, pesticides are known to inhibit or stop the production of antibodies. And if we don't have natural occurring antibodies, our body is not going to be able to react to opportunistic microorganisms like bacteria and viruses that are in our body. So as you can see, toxins can cause a plethora of changes to our physiology and biochemistry of the body, and all of them are detrimental.
Awesome. Thank you for that information. I loved it. Okay, on to Dr. Lee. In taking any of the products, is there a particular time of day that is better than another? If we take 3 capsules, should we take them all at once or spread them out over the day?
So it depends on the product. From a nutritional standpoint, it probably is best to spread them out. Although if you're only going to take the product once a day, I would recommend probably taking it in the mornings, rather than in the evenings or later in the day. For something like PBX, certainly spread out throughout the day would be more beneficial because you're constantly getting exposed to and bombarded with toxins throughout the day. And it would make sense to try to detox throughout the course of the day as well.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you for that. And this question is for Eddie. What is unique about our plant-based protein powder? What are the benefits of consuming plant-based proteins instead of animal proteins?
Well, there's a variety of things here that I don't know that we have a full amount of time to, but let me defer folks if they want to get into the minutia. I know there's a lot of people using proteins out there, so this is really a curious subject. You can go to our blog site, and there's several wonderful articles there on our protein product, but there's also one on plant versus whey protein, which you should read. There's a misnomer out there that you cannot get a complete set of amino acids except out of the animal protein arena. That's just simply not true. That's a myth that was started in the early 1970s that's since been debunked multiple times. And so one thing to understand is that combination of protein sources that you find in organic super protein does give you a complete array of amino acids necessary. I have a preference to it for several reasons. One is taste and how it digests. So we use, for example, in our mix, a fermented rice protein in combination with pea and other elements. What that means is that it works with the body already, right? It's already acting as a predigested form when you're working with something that's fermented. And so when you take it, instead of that sort of gassy bulkiness, and everybody listening to me that's used plenty of protein powders, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's just simply not there. It digests quite easily, as you would find with most fermented types of food. And also by doing that, we've worked with the flavor now to make that palatable. One of the things, if you're introducing into your life something like the greens powder, organic super protein, you got to think about mouth fatigue, taste fatigue. And so I'm quite proud of how our team approaches those subjects, thinking about long-term daily use that's important when you're trying to adopt and develop new health habits. So just like as I was talking about weight loss, right? You need something that tastes good, digests well, so that you can use it on a regular basis. So we add the enzymes, we add the fermented rice and the other ingredients to make it palatable and digest quite well. That's a stark difference than I think what people will find, particularly with the common whey proteins that you see out there. The other side of this is it helps to alkalize the body in a way that animal proteins simply do not. Animal proteins, by their very nature, are acidic. And for anybody that is looking to lose weight, particularly if you're combining that with meaningful exercise, acidity is a battle. And when your body is acidic, it just does not function as well. Your metabolism does not function as well. Nothing's really working in the way that it should. And so just as we try to support with our superfoods, with our zeolite products, the alkalinity of the body, that's really critical in that regard. And so those are attributes that I think are important. And then secondarily to that, if we sort of look at the long-term nature of one of our concerns as a company, which is securing food safety, food security in the future, and how we support the farming community, there's no question that human beings, not to say that there's no room for animal protein consumption, but anything we can do to sort of lessen that burden on the system itself, whether we're talking about the body or the ecological system, those are favorable things that by mixing in these plant-based proteins, you will be doing that, right? So the contributions are personal as well as existential as well. So Craig, hope that sort of helps people sort of understand those differences.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that answer, Eddie. Appreciate that. Dr. Greenberg's got the next question. Dr. Greenberg, tell us a little bit about probiotics, what they are, and why I should supplement them. We've got them in our Super Green Juice and our Super Greens Plus D. Tell us a little bit about probiotics.
Well, the word probiotic actually means for life. And that really tells us so much about what the probiotic is about. We know now from science that there are more bacterial cells in the body than human cells. Collectively, these bacterial cells are known as the microbiome. The healthier, the stronger, the more fit we can keep our microbiome, we've classified that as a way to keep our own body healthy and fit and strong. So as the bacteria in the body goes, so goes our own health. So we want to keep that as strong as we possibly can. And that's where supplementing with a probiotic really comes in. There are numerous benefits of taking a probiotic. Many of them are related to digestive system, of course, but we even know that certain strains have very positive impacts on the immune system, on the cardiovascular system, even on the relationship between the brain and the gut, and our mental health or our moods can all be affected by our microbiome and the health of our microbiome. So supplementing with good bacteria, healthy bacteria that are found in the products are an excellent way of enhancing our microbiome and making us stronger and healthier.
Awesome. Great answer. Thank you for that, Dr. Greenberg. Next question to Dr. Lee. Is PBX safe for people who have metal parts in their body? That's an interesting question.
Yes, and yes, short answer is yes, PBX is safe for people who have metal parts in their body. And I think it goes back to how PBX or zeolites fundamentally work. So most of the implants and parts in your body that, let's say, a hip or something like that that's been replaced, they're made out of relatively inert metals, primarily things like titanium or steel. And those generally do not hurt your body. The heavy metals that I was talking about that actually are dangerous and have negative health effects, things like mercury or arsenic, cadmium, and lead, are highly attracted to the zeolite. So the zeolite actually binds and actually gets rid of the small, heavy molecules that are positively charged. So mercury, lead, arsenic, and not the other minerals that are in your body. So the PBX will not leach any metal, medical parts that are in your body. The only thing I would say is that if you had the old mercury fillings that will continue to leach mercury into your system for years and decades after it's been implanted, that PBX will actually bind to in your system and your organs and your blood and actually detoxify your body. So it has, that positive effect in terms of dental implants, but other metals in your body will not have any negative effect on them.
Excellent. Thank you for that answer, Dr. Lee. Next question's for Eddie. Are there age guidelines with product usage?
Well, we certainly want to make sure parents particularly are paying attention to, what their child's medical situation is, right? If your child is under care of a physician, make sure anytime you're introducing supplements to them, whether it's ours or somebody else's, right, that you're in consultation with the person providing care, right? You just want to make sure that there's known factors and considerations maybe that you aren't doing as an individual. Fortunately for us, though, beyond those just general recommendations, we do not have a product line with products that have contraindications such that, we've got those kind of traditional cautions with medication otherwise. And so if you're someone 18 years of age and older, you can follow the label guidelines on our products, whether you're reading it from the bottle or you're reading it from the shop page, which essentially says that it's just open to all adults. And with children, because we don't have the contraindications, we have many individuals out there with kids and grandkids, even great grandkids, that effectively use our products, use it with support of their pediatrician and otherwise. And so, these are not synthetics, isolates, or products that come with some of those cautionary tales that you hear. So we just, use your common sense, make sure you read the label and make those general considerations.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Eddie. That concludes our question and answer session. That goes a lot faster than you think it's going to go. We've got a few other questions that were on the table, but we'll save them for another time. So thank you, Eddie, Dr. Lee, Dr. Greenberg, for your thoughtful and informative answers to these questions from the audience. We appreciate you, your time, your expertise. Finally, we will be privileged to hear from our founder and CEO, Eddie Stone, who will share a few closing remarks. Following Eddie, Sawyer will come back to do one last round of prize drawings, so stay tuned to see if you're going to be one of those lucky winners. Eddie.
Thank you, Craig. And let me just take a moment here before we close the show out and I get into some quick updates, just to acknowledge everyone that took the time out of their day to be with us. You're spending 3 hours with us. We appreciate that confidence, but I also just want to congratulate you on taking the time to educate yourself about your health and strengthen your own ability to advocate for these products and the organization if that's something that you're doing. I want to thank all those individuals that took the time to prepare testimonials and to be with us. We've got folks that have joined us from Europe and really all across the country in various time zones. Thank you for doing that, particularly the personal nature of what people shared, giving us some sort of insights into their household. It's informative and it makes a difference to us. And so we thank you for doing that. We want to thank all the other speakers, Cindy, Dr. Greenberg, Dr. Lee. Thank you for your time. You guys have a lot of things you could be doing today. And we appreciate that you've taken the time to share your knowledge. I want to thank Sawyer for being a part of helping us share and give prizes away and orchestrate the testimonials. And then finally, Craig, thank you for, helping to piece all this together. We need somebody that weaves this into a good message source and everybody back at the home office, Jen and Sonia particularly, and their teams, just wonderful. And I appreciate that we get a chance to do this. So as I wrap this up, let me go ahead and I'll move through this pretty quickly. We've been talking about this now for a couple of months as we travel. We've got an extensive set of product releases coming over the course of the next 18 months. And I'm really excited about that. I think I jumped ahead on one slide here. Most of you know that in the first quarter of this year, we've been talking about the release of a folic acid product. We are really getting down to the wire on that, final testing and otherwise. And it's going to be a great adjunct to the overall health messaging that we have, to have the folic acid, the wonderful qualities you see there, as well as its qualities as a mineral supplement. So we're excited about that. In the second quarter of the year, we've got a very robust health formulated and focused fiber product with many attributes, from blood sugar control, helping as a tool to help out with cholesterol, triglyceride levels, things of that nature, and just the general benefits that we know are there with fiber. It may be admittedly a fairly unsexy subject, but as terms of getting your health in order, fiber is very, very critical in that regard. And then in the third quarter of the year, we've got a couple of exciting things we're going to be doing on the CBD front. Of course, you heard from Dr. Greenberg today about just how important it is to consider balance, the endocannabinoid system, controlling stress, the deleterious impact that has on your health. So we're excited to be able to do that and expand that category for us. And then finally, at the end of 2022 and the early part of 2023, we've got an extensive set of releases that will happen in the nutritionals. And so those whole foods, that build category, we've got some fun things we're going to do there. We're excited about that. And then we continue to work on providing tools for education and advocacy, as well as the development of the business, like our Zeolite Fast Facts. And so some of you that were in attendance with us at the event in Scottsdale, you saw that we released a video about PBX. Important because for a lot of people, the subject matter of zeolites is not second nature. And so it's great to have a little short couple-minute video you can share with someone to give them that explanation. We've now taken that material and we've condensed it into a simple set of PDFs that you can share. You can either download it or you can share it from the app. I'll give the app a big plug here. It's a very robust set of tools. If you've not downloaded, if you're not using the free app, talk with your upline, talk with our support team, get your hands on the app. It's a great way to share with people why you think these products are important. And then finally, I want to talk about the reward side of what we do. What we're doing here sometimes on a day like this, right? We're discussing some fairly serious subjects here. We're talking about health, but it's also important to celebrate and make sure that we acknowledge that life is hopeful and life is fun. And so if I can get some help to launch the video, I'll come back afterwards and speak a little about it, but we've got a rewards trip coming up.
Imagine what it would be like to work hard and be truly rewarded for your efforts. To leave your everyday routine behind and experience the extraordinary. And to share it all with a special person in your life. With the Mastermind Reward Trip, you'll say goodbye to the daily grind and hello to a tropical winter getaway. Set in the beautiful Riviera Maya in Mexico, you'll enjoy 5 breathtaking days on pristine white sand beaches, snorkeling with sea turtles. Savor gourmet all-day dining and endless drinks. And cherish 4 dazzling nights in a luxury suite with a private balcony. And you'll do it all in the company of top leaders, creating a once-in-a-lifetime learning retreat that can take your business to the next level. With Touchstone Essentials, this reward is within your reach. From September through January, active visionary business owners and affiliates can earn points for up to 2 people to go to paradise on us. You can earn points in 5 different ways. Add new enrollments. Points. Achieve and maintain your 3-peat qualifications. Points. Attain a new rank advancement. Points. Gain a new star bonus achievement. Points. Plus bonus activities for more points. That's 5 ways you can build up points so you can play in the sun, sand, and surf. There are 5 tiers of achievement, so you can start with a land package for 1 and work your way up to an all-expenses-paid getaway for you and a loved one. And while this remarkable reward is taking place at the luxury 4-diamond resort Secrets Akumal, don't keep it a secret. Share with your team so that you experience the ultimate reward trip together. Be rewarded. Be celebrated. Join us March 16th to 20th, 2022 in Akumal. Because everyone deserves the good inside.
Well, I hope the video gave you enough of a glimpse of the resort and the trip to make you want to go. Having been there a couple times now, I can say it's just a marvelous facility and a great way to reward yourself and a significant other. We chose to go back because it's just one of those places that you can't get enough of to go just one time. And so we were actually there in February of 2020, just before sort of the world flipped on us. And we're excited to be going back there in March. I'm thinking about parts of the country that in March are going to be coming out of a long winter, and what a relief that sun and warm waters and just lovely environment will be to us all. So we're at the company, we could not be more excited about this. We're going to join you there, right? So we get to go and participate with you, and we hope that's exciting for you. For those that are just seeing this for the first time, as a VBO, when you go into your back office, there's actually an area tab that you can hit on that will show you where you stand so far. There's a little gauge that will show you what your qualifications are to date. We have people that have already qualified in just the first couple of months for the full trip with a significant other. And so that's exciting for us to see clearly these products and the way they invite themselves into people's lives and homes are helping people develop organizations and developing customers. And so it's wonderful. And let me say this as I kind of close out. Oftentimes on a presentation like this, people will consider, okay, what do I do with this? Fundamentally, this is about sharing your story, your personal story, just as you heard in these testimonials today, why you're using something, right? It's critical to know what Dr. Lee shared. It's critical to hear from Dr. Greenberg and Cindy and these others, but it's important to the people you're talking to. I should say it's just as important. Why are you using these products, right? And so as you think about this and you think about development of an organization advocating for these products, know with certainty what your own motivations are, why you're using the products, why you're using the super protein, why you're using the super green juice, why you're using the PBX. Your ability to do that is really that first step, quite literally, to earning that reward strip. The second part I have people will ask me about is, hey, what's my strategy here? If you simply look in your back office at how you earn those points and you follow that as a path forward, that's all the things you need to do to be successful. At the end of the contest, no matter where you sit on the points that you've earned, you will have developed an organization that will have residual income for you and your loved ones well beyond the scope of just this short period of time for this trip. And so that's part of the reason we put this together. We hope it excites you as much as it excites us. Here we are in November. This has been an interesting year, an interesting 20 or so months for all of us, but I am so hopeful and so grateful for the opportunity to work with each of you. Our staff, as I said earlier today, we're thankful, particularly in this time of the season where we really think about those things that are important to us. You are important to us. Your health is important to us. Your success is important to us. And hopefully today you've learned and gained information that will help you further your own goals and aspirations. Our role here is to be a platform for you to achieve the very fullest measure of your potential with your health, with your future, and with your business. And that's what we're here to do and to serve. And so we're excited for that privilege. We recognize it is a privilege to have. And so we're excited for that. So again, thank you for today. I'm going to now hand this over to my daughter, Sawyer, who's done a great job today, and look forward to next time.
Thank you, Dad. I appreciate that. I'm so excited to have been here and been a part of the Wellness Summit. It was so informative and it was wonderful, wonderful learning experience for everybody. This is our final round of product prizes for the day. So if you didn't win earlier, cross your fingers that you've got something here now. We've got 3 products to give away. First up, we're going to give away a bottle of our Pure Body Extra, which is our #1 product in our detox line. And if I could get some assistance with that spinning wheel, we'll go ahead and see who wins.
I'm losing my self-control.
Congratulations, you won a bottle of our Pure Body Extra. We'll reach out to you next week about how to get this prize to you. Next up, we've got a canister of our super green juice. This is one of our best sellers from our Build line. And if I could get some assistance with that spinning wheel, please.
Tell myself, draw the line. Not do I do, but once in a while I trip up and across the line. And I think of you. 2 years and just like that, my head still takes me back.
Juice. We'll reach out to all of our winners next week. Right, our final prize of the day is a bottle of our Calm 750 CBD oil, one of our best sellers from our Balance line. If I could get some assistance with that spinning wheel, please. Gagliano, you've won a bottle of our Calm 750 CBD oil. Congratulations to all of the winners today, and thank you to everybody that helped and participated and was a part of this experience. Cornerstone, thank you guys so much for everything that you do and for this spinning wheel. It's been really wonderful to be here today. Craig, I think it's back to you.
Thank you, Sawyer, and congratulations to our prize winners. We hope you enjoy your prize and experience greater wellness. Also, thank you, Eddie. As you can see, we have so many exciting things happening at Touchstone Essentials with so much more to come. You know, one of the things I love about Touchstone Essentials is the fact that we help other people. It's one of those things that we do really well. We make a difference in people's lives. We offer them hope, health, and happiness. That's really what we offer when we share the good inside. Bottles of hope, bottles of health, bottles of happiness. But it all starts with hope. They might look like bottles of PBX, Super Green Juice, and Calm CBD oil, but they're really bottles of hope that I can overcome any discomfort that's holding me back. Hope that I can feel well enough to play with my grandchildren. Hope that I live a long and healthy life. That's what we offer. You know the thing I love about hope? It emerges even before a person purchases or consumes a product. You can make a difference in someone's life with the mere suggestion of improved health. It happens at the precise moment you introduce them to Touchstone Essentials' health philosophy. That's how powerful hope is. That's how powerful Touchstone Essentials products are. Greater hope begins to grow as they feel the products working inside them and as they start to see small results. These small results turn into improved health, which in turn brings them happiness. I can't think of a better cause to be involved in than bringing people hope, health, and happiness. The only thing more you could want is to offer hope, health, and happiness to more people. With Touchstone Essentials, we can take hope, health, and happiness to the world. That's why our vision is to touch the lives of 1 million families with goodness. Together, we can change the world. In order to do this, we need to think bigger. Here are 3 things to consider as we try to make a greater impact on the world. Number 1, we have to do it collectively. We have to do it together to have an impact. Number 2, we have to be committed to constantly and consistently reach out to others. And number 3, we have to create a culture of sharing. One definition of culture is the way of life for an entire community. What if sharing hope, health, and happiness became our way of life, the way of life in our Touchstone Essentials community? What if it became a part of our culture? That's my invitation today, to create a culture of sharing within your own team and then help us create a collective culture of sharing within Touchstone Essentials. If you were to find just 3 people each month who also want to share hope, health, and happiness with others, at the end of your first year, you will have organized over 16 million sharers of goodness. Just imagine what could happen if even just 1,000 of us committed to do the same. The numbers would be astronomical. Now, the numbers will never work out perfectly, but what I'm trying to illustrate is that collectively we can literally have a global impact on the lives of millions of people. I invite everyone to create a personal sharing culture within their own organization so that collectively we can become a mighty force for good in the world. What we have is too good, too amazing, too powerful not to share. As you've seen and heard today, Touchstone Essentials is growing and growing rapidly, and you won't want to miss the opportunity to get ahead of and benefit from that growth. It can change your life and the lives of those around you. We want to thank all those who participated in our program today, especially our health experts who taught us so much. We also want to thank you for spending time with us today, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you, we love you, and we wish you the best in health. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
I got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric wavy when I turn it on. Off from my city, off from my home. We're flying up no ceiling when we in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my back.